Going to throw him out there today. It's left to right, Nicky Delmonico, Adam Engel, and Abisail Garcia. Yolmer, third base with Tim Yuan and Jose around the infield. Wellington Castillo behind the plate, and Ronaldo Lopez, a starter last year, back on the mound, looking to improve a few things. Certainly he's a fastball pitcher, that's first and foremost. This is fourth start. You see the ERA brilliant. He's 1-0. He is ticketed for the rotation. The only question is where it'll be. With opponents hitting 156 in Arizona, the young man is having a fine spring. There you have a look at the umpires. And Nick Lentz will be behind the plate with Brian Gorman at first, Lance Barrett at second, and Ryan Blackney is at third. So on a beautiful day for baseball, we're ready to kick it off. And Russ, I know you do broadcasting in Las Vegas for their AAA 51s, and you've done it quite some time. You have some partners that certainly I know of, but for you looking out over a major league field, and I know you've done games before, but this is just a gorgeous setting, and you ready for the game?
Oh, I was ready for a long time. Absolutely. Just as ready as anybody. You know, it's funny, Steve, you make the point about trying to avoid injuries. And one of the things they asked Bobby Cox years ago was, what's your biggest fear in spring training? He said, I got, for example, an all-star catcher at the time, Brian McCann. My biggest fear is number 96 rounding third base, trying to make his mark and crashing into my all-star catcher.
Which does happen quite a bit. So we're ready for baseball. First pitch on the way.
All right. Thank you, Steve Stone. Now let's see. Ronaldo Lopez from the shortstop factory known as San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican. Fastball in there for a strike, and we're underway here to Ian Happ starting off. A switch hitting left fielder for the Cubs at .393 this spring with 5 homers and 9 batted in. So one of several Cubs with very big numbers opening up. And that's high. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Of course, Lopez, as you see Happ right there, came over in the trade with the Washington Nationals involving Adam Eaton, which also netted the Sox Lucas Giolito and Dane Dunning, 2 other pitchers. Here's the 1-1 now to Happ. You missed that one. Strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Best part about that deal was for Adam Eaton, who's a good, solid player. Don't get me wrong. He had some very good years here with the Sox. But they potentially have gotten 60% of a starting rotation. Dunning is going to be terrific and throw the ball where he wants to. Lopez is great stuff, and Giolito has been a revelation.
That's foul back. So Ian Happ hanging in there. Of course, Happ was a #1 pick by the Cubs 3 years ago, the University of Cincinnati, which has produced some notable talent, including a guy named Sandy Koufax.
I would say he worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Breaking ball up and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Ian Happ, who had a nice year last year. Kind of a breakout year. He had 253, 24 home runs, drove in 68. He's only 23 years old. He was mentored by Sean Casey in his more of his developmental days. Now the 2-2 from Lopez, and that's up and away. 3-2 now.
Lopez is by and large a fastball pitcher. Loves his 2-seam fastball. Uses it about 60% of the time. We will show you the entire repertoire as we move along, but the young man's got a great arm. Like every young pitcher or every pitcher anywhere, you got to get the ball over the plate, and you have to spot your fastball. That's the biggest factor for young pitchers that they have to understand. It's good to have the curve, the slider, the splitter, whatever it is you throw, but you have to be able to spot your fastball, because you can win in the major leagues without a great curveball. You can win without a great slider. You cannot win if you can't locate your fastball.
Almost every great pitcher this side of Phil Niekro talks about the importance of commanding that fastball. That time he commanded it pretty well, and Happ swings and misses, and he's out. 1 out as a strikeout begins things for Tommy La Stella.
Great thing about Lopez is his second best pitch, the one he likes a lot, is a straight change. And this is why he likes it. This ball in a perfect spot on the outside corner. Happ, who's having that wonderful spring that Russ told you about, goes down on strikes. A promising way to start it.
And here's Tommy La Stella. That's outside ball 1. 1-0. And Yolmer Sanchez is the Sox third baseman starting today. He's shortened up at third base to take the bunt away from La Stella. There he is. And Ronaldo Lopez, 24 years old. Here he comes. That's foul back and out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Great day for baseball here at Camel Den Ranch.
Well, the best part about today is that it's not yesterday. And the reason is that yesterday was so windy that I doubt you could keep the ball in the ballpark. Today, the winds have calmed down as they usually are in Arizona. What little wind there is, wafting across from right to left and maybe coming in just a touch.
And a 1-1. Missed inside ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. La Stella's 29 now. He had a decent year last year in 73 games where he had 288. This spring he's at 323 and has driven in 3 runs. Here to right center, and Garcia and Engel converging, and it's Engel picking that one off. 2 outs.
Let's take a look at the repertoire. What does the young man throw? We told you about the 4-seamer, just over 60% of the time, and the change backing it up just under 24% of the time with a curve and a cutter. The cutter he doesn't use very much, but he will use that more as he becomes more established, because that's how he can get inside to the left-hand hitters. That's always been problematic for right-hand pitchers who are what's called arm side strong, meaning his sweet spot is away to lefties into righties. To get it into lefties, the cutter's the best pitch. As he gets a little better and a little older, he'll be able to do it more. It's going to rise up from that 2+%.
That's Wilson Contreras looking at a strike in its own 1.
He can really hit it. He was a position player. He's really learning how to catch. He moves around, very athletic, doesn't frame like he should, doesn't block quite what he should, but great arm. You can't take your eyes off him if you're at first base. He will pick you off.
1 ball and 1 strike as the breaking ball is backhanded by Wellington Castillo. 1-1 on Contreras, who himself having a solid spring. 353. Do you see the numbers right there? A couple of home runs. Native of Venezuela, 25 years old. And also a nice year last year. 276, 21 home runs. Drove in 74. That's on the ground to short. Tim Anderson gobbles that one up. Zeroes in on Abreu and throws out Contreras. And that's it. In the top of the first, the Cubs go quiet.
Let's take a look at the lineup and how Ricky Renteria is going to put them out there today. So the Sox with Yoan Moncada at the top, Abisail Garcia in the 2 spot, Jose Abreu at 3, Matt Davidson having a very good spring in the 4 spot, leading the major leagues in runs batted in. Then it's Nicky Delmonico, who was a revelation last year, Wellington Castillo, Tim Anderson, Yolmer Sanchez, and Adam Engel in center field. The man can go alley to alley with the best of them. There's a look at the Cubs defense. Left to right, Ian Happ, Albert Amor Jr., and Peter Borges. Then it's Court Freeman, La Stella, and Navarro, with Contreras behind the plate and Hugh Darvish on the mound. And Darvish can throw anything. This is a guy not having a particularly good spring, but the veteran pitchers don't gear it up early because they know they're going north. They realize their spot in the rotation. There's a very good chance he's going to be number 2 behind Lester. The most amazing thing is Jose Quintana is going to be the 4th starter.
All right, there's Yoan Moncada opening things up against Hugh Darvish. And there's one of Darvish's many offerings. It's a breaking ball for a strike. 0-1 of the native of Cuba. There's his numbers right there. Abisail Garcia next, and Jose Abreu in the bottom of the first. And a scoreless bottom of the first thus far. The 0-1 now from Darvish. Sharp ground ball. Navarro shovels, and he got him. Efrain Navarro, veteran of several years, mostly in the minors, but very good defensive player. And that's a 3-1 put on Moncada to bring up Garcia. We'll see again.
Yoan Moncada has great speed. This is a nice play, a good, solid toss. From a pitching standpoint, you want to get 10 feet in front of the bag, round it off, and then hit the inside of the bag with your right foot. Darvish does it fairly well, almost turns his ankle, and probably he wants to sharpen that up a bit because you hit the inside part, then peel back toward the infield. Moncada out by a half step.
So Abisail Garcia will climb in now. Darvish is 31. He's from Osaka, Japan. Avi self-settled in the box right there. Strike going 1. Darvish with that leg kick and that little hesitation to try to upset the hitter's timing.
He does just about everything to upset timing. I mean, he'll slow it way down, he'll speed it up. The fastball anywhere from 93 to 95. Now he throws his curveball a lot. He can cut it, he can sink it. I mean, he just has a huge repertoire.
Strike.
One thing you don't want to do on Darvish, you don't want to take too many fastballs because he has so many pitches that will wipe you out that if you let him get ahead with a first ball fastball, odds are overwhelming that's going to be the best pitch you see in the at-bat. You let that go, now you're on the defensive. If it's a strike and he can pinpoint the fastball, it usually is a strike. Maybe not now, but during the season there'll be a lot of guys trying to jump on that first pitch fastball. Darvish is good enough to make the adjustment.
2 strikes on Garcia, hitting .305 this spring. And the next one. buried that one. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And as you point out, Steve, with Darvish, it's not a question of what he throws, but what doesn't he throw? Fastball, a couple of different kinds of curveballs, cutter, splitter, changeup.
Well, we're going to show you the pie chart and the frequency of all of the pitches that you mentioned, Russ. And just as we did with Ronaldo Lopez, we'll do it with Hugh Darvish as soon as we get a moment. And he does throw a lot of different pitches. The key is he can throw those pitches and he can keep them in the zone. And that's one of the reasons why a 6-year, $125+ million contract came his way.
This will be a 1-2. And it's open to right center for a base hit beyond the stream relief of La Stella. Almora gets it back in, and there's the first base hit of the day.
So exactly why Avi hit 330 last year, because now, unlike when he was young, he's able to wait back and put this ball in play. So you see him just wait back long enough, take this ball the opposite field. About 3 years ago, he was incapable of doing it. He would have tried to pull the ball. Now he takes it up the middle, he hits it to right field, he waits back on the off-speed offering and gets just enough of it to ease it into right center field.
1 on, 1 out for Jose Abreu. Jose at 188, couple of homers, knocked in 4 so far this spring.
There is a thoughtful hitter. There is a guy that not only watched the first 2 hitters, he observed the first 2 hitters. He realized it was first ball fastball. The guys took it. Jose didn't, because he was guessing if he throws first ball fastball, I'm all over this. He just missed it. That's the reason why he's one of the smartest hitters in baseball. You saw it on just 1 pitch.
1 strike to count on Jose Abreu. Garcia, modest lead over at first. And that's foul back. 2 strikes on Abreu. Darvish, of course, broke in with the Texas Rangers. His first year in the United States was 2012, and then pitched for the LA Dodgers. And at one point, he was the highest paid player in Japan. And as you point out, Steve, now a 6-year deal for over north of $125 million.
Cubs got themselves exactly what they needed, because they couldn't come to terms with Jake Arrieta, who went to Philadelphia. Jake was a very good pitcher for the Cubs, but there was a big hole in the rotation by his absence. They filled it with Hugh Darvish.
Slow roller. La Stella feeds second for 1. And they get it. Despite the fact it was a little grass cutter, they turned the 4-6-3 double play. And the Sox first, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and no one left. We played
here, so you can join us on Thursday, April 5th at Guaranteed Rate Field as our White Sox take on the division rivals, the Detroit Tigers, in their 2018 home opener at 3:10. All fans in attendance will receive a 2018 magnetic schedule. So get your tickets at WhiteSox.com today.
To the top of the second, along with Steve Stone, Russ Langer here at Camelback Ranch in Glendale. And Ronaldo Lopez worked a perfect first, and now it's Efrain Navarro starting off for the Cubs. And there's a knee-high strike. 1-1 on Navarro. 267 to spring, little homer, 6 batted in. A veteran who's been with several different teams and always a good defensive first baseman, but never really had a chance to play every day in the big leagues yet.
Well, I don't think Rizzo's taking a seat anytime soon. So for Navarro, he's probably auditioning for 29 other teams, or possibly an insurance policy in case something happens. I mean, Rizzo and Bryant have been very resilient. Those are the corner guys. They're just outstanding. They're building blocks for this organization and will be for a long time to come. So if you're a third or first baseman and you want to play on the Cubs, you better bring a few gloves to the park.
Navarro, meanwhile, trying to make a nice impression nonetheless, lines a base hit to right field, and Garcia will feed it back in. So there's the first Cubs hit of the day. Off Ronaldo Lopez, and the batter is Alberto Almora Jr.
Take a look again. And Navarro able to take that fastball middle out off a raised front foot. You saw the hang time. He was able to time it really well, hit it right on the screws, and he's aboard to lead it off. Now, the first time that a pitcher goes into the stretch, if he hasn't taken enough out of the stretch in his pregame, you might see a little wildness. You miss your spot by an inch, cost you a base hit.
Strike. 0-1 on Almora Jr. Hialeah, Florida native. He's hit 176. He's hit 2 home runs, knocked in 7 thus far. 1 on, nobody out, top of the second. Sox and Cubs here in Glendale. laid off that one. 1 ball and 1 strike to count to Alberto Almora Jr. He was at .298 last year, homering 8 times, driving in 46. Still a youngster. He'll be 24 next month.
Last year, 211 from the windup against Lopez and over 300 from the stretch.
And now a 1-2 count as Lopez jumps ahead.
Good straight change, and Almora well off balance and fooled entirely. Take a look at the straight change. Key, same arm velocity, same release point. It has to look like a fastball until the bottom drops out, and it was a good straight change, and Lopez has a dandy.
Fly ball to shallow left field. Delmonico has it lined up, waiting for it now. 1 out. In the top of the second, the batter Mike Freeman.
You broadcast in Las Vegas, similar weather, but the high skies maybe a little different. For outfielders, is it as difficult in Las Vegas as it is here in spring training for these guys?
Absolutely, because as you said, there are a lot of similarities in terms of the conditions, so most definitely.
Well, it's tough here. I've seen good outfielders look very bad in Arizona because although we have some cloud cover today, this is unusual. It's usually bright skies, no clouds at all, and that makes it really difficult.
The sun is struggling to fight through the clouds right now as we speak. Here's the pitch now, and that breaking ball drops in nicely for a strike. 0-1 on Mike Freeman, who's had a dandy spring so far. 441 with a home run, knocked in 8 so far. He's been around 3 different big league teams, and he's 30 years old now, from Orlando, Florida.
Well, he is a jack of all trades and did pitch against the Sox last year. So it was a blowout game. He came in, did okay, but saved the regular pitchers a few innings. So Freeman, a veteran, can apparently do just about everything.
Seems like every team has at least one guy like that.
You need him, in fact, more than ever now because there's more people in the bullpen now than ever. So if you have a guy that can play 3 positions, you give your manager more flexibility, especially important in the National League as opposed to the American League where you have the DH.
Fastball outside, 1 ball and 1 strike now.
So you're not going to do the double switches quite obviously in the American League. That's why managers covet another man on the bench in the National League. If you have a quality bullpen, you get away with 1 less guy. That's the 13 and 12-man bullpen, the controversy that always reigns. Years ago, it used to be, are you going to have 10, you're going to have 11. Now it's 12 and 13. And if the manager had the choice, he would always go for 1 more man on the bench.
1-2. Stark contrast to some of your early days in the big leagues when you had a 3-man rotation of all things.
We did in '73 with the White Sox, but in Baltimore, Earl always went back if he could with 9 pitchers. 5 starters, 4 pensmen. That's it. Those days have gone the way of the dodo bird. We're not going to see that anytime soon.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Mike Freeman. Lopez missing with the changeup. Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. Peter Borges on deck. Tough ticket today. Time of the Cubs and Sox get together anywhere. We'll have a massive humanity, and there's a riot of color as we look out in the stands here today at Camelback Ranch. Lopez a long check of Castillo, taking too much time for Freeman, who wants a little more time of his own. Two and 2. Breaking ball, left it up a little bit. Freeman fouled it back.
We'll take another look. Lopez makes a mistake. Very hittable for Freeman. He fouled it back, and Lopez breathes a sigh of relief.
Count stays even. Lopez, a sign from Castillo. Navarro, a modest lead off for first. And a fastball is too far inside. So a full count with a 1 out here in the top of the second.
Okay, so it is spring training. Yes, there is a man on. Great time for a straight change. Keep it down. It turns into a strikeout. So get it close to the plate. in spring training is the time to use something that you might not want to use in the season. Let's see what Castillo calls. There's the change. That's what he's going to throw.
There goes the runner. Bounding ball to Moncada. Easy flip over to Abreu. 2 down. And Navarro down to second. Running on the pitch. 2 away. The batter now is Peter Borges.
Peter trying to make a ball club, and he does it usually with speed. He'll make some contact. He's very good in the outfield. And you look at those numbers, having a terrific spring. The question is just exactly how crowded will the outfield be. And again, that's where it turns into flexibility. Leury Garcia can play every position, infield, outfield, wherever. He becomes very valuable in the day and age of the expanded bullpens. Borges doesn't have that flexibility, but he can play all 3 outfield positions well.
Trying to jump on that first pitch, and he slices it foul in the air to the right. A souvenir from the patrons over there. 1 strike on Borges, who will be 31 at the end of the month. Big league time with the Angels, had a lot of time in their system. Cardinals, a little bit of time with Tampa Bay. His father, a long-time big league scout, Chris Borges. 1 strike with Navarro. You see him in the foreground off second base. Tim Anderson wants this ball. And that's that. The Cubs get a leadoff single from Efren Navarro, and then Lopez sets down the next 3 in order. At the end of an inning and a half at Camelback Ranch, the Cubs and Sox are scoreless on NBC Sports Chicago. Look at that. Now, where else do you see that? That's beyond the left center field fence here at Camelback Ranch, and you get an idea of the distance between this ballpark in Glendale, Arizona, and all the Sox minor league affiliates, from Charlotte all the way down to rookie ball. How about that?
The fans want to know where to go, like after the ball game, or maybe to get a snack. Well, Birmingham's not a bad idea. Yeah, sure, you say it's a long way away, but the food is really good. Barbecue. And you love the ballpark.
Oh, great park. They got another new park in Birmingham. Now to the bottom of the second, Matt Davidson climbing in against Yu Darvish, opening up the Sox second, and he looks at a strike. 0-1. Steve, you mentioned before that the Dodgers would not let Darvish throw his curveball.
For whatever reason, they felt that it was probably his 4th or 5th pitch. They didn't like his command of it, so instead of digging him into a hole, they said, why don't you concentrate on these? Well, that's a really good pitch for Yu Darvish, and when you take away a pitch that a pitcher really likes, you're not doing him any favors. It's such a great pitcher's park. Quite obviously, when you run Kershaw out there, any park would be a great pitcher's park, but it's historically been one of the best places to pitch. Darvish, I don't think ever felt all that comfortable with the Dodgers, and one of the reasons is he likes the curveball. The Cubs, understanding he likes the curveball, say throw what you want, young man, and just go out there and give me 32, 33 starts, and we're going to be just fine.
Let's ride that breaking ball. Ball and 2 strikes. What do you make of, as we see right there, Mr. Davidson, and the kind of big spring that he's having?
By a Sox rookie, Jose Abreu at 36, then Kittle, Benura, and then Matt Davidson to go with Fields, and Belton, Bill Melton, who I saw last night. Bill looks great.
Now goes Davidson, first strikeout for Yu.
Join us as the White Sox take on the Tigers on Saturday, April 7th at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans are going to receive a White Sox winter hat presented by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling.
Now Nicky Delmonico in the 5th slot.
Last year, when Nicky Delmonico came to spring training, everybody said, Nicky Delmonico. What a great name for a baseball player. As the season went along, they went, Nicky Delmonico, he can really hit. And that's why Nicky Delmonico is where he is. He's a good young man, good power from the left side. He was a revelation last year. I think that the ceiling is unlimited at this point. He can swing the bat, and he fits very well into the Sox lineup.
Would have a whole slew of such talent the Sox have in camp. The next one, and that breaking ball stays outside. There's that curveball, 1-1.
The thing is, and Darvish knows this because he's been training here, he trained here with Texas and the Dodgers, is that Yes, they gave him the opportunity to throw the curveball, but in Arizona, it's a tough pitch because it's thin air. You don't get the rotation. You can't spin it as well. When he goes north, the curveball will be at least 30% better than the one we're seeing today. And for the hitters, that's not a good sign.
This will be a 1-1. Mickey getting a steady diet of that pitch, and it's 1-2 now. What do you make of the discussion about the postseason last year? Yu Darvish had 2 rough starts for the Dodgers in the World Series against Houston. To talk about how he was tipping his pitches.
Well, they said that about a lot of pitchers at various times, and with the video these days, as we watch this one unwind,
They won't put out too bad.
the video these days, you're going to go over pitch after pitch after pitch. Not only the hitters do that, but the coaches do that, the video guys do that. You want to see 1,000 pitches Darvish throws, you're going to see them, and you're going to see them sequentially. And if he does anything different, you're just going to start first looking fastballs. Does he do anything different on the fastball? Then you look at the curveball, anything different, the slider, the change. You look for differences. So now, if you just subtly do anything different, well, they say, well, he's tipping his pitches. Well, you know, they can say that you can know when Kershaw's throwing a curveball. Well, you can't hit it. So you could tell him, I'm throwing a curveball. You can't hit it. You make a good pitch, I don't care if you're tipping it or not, they won't hit it. Darvish will make better pitches, I believe, this year. I just don't think he ever got comfortable with the Dodgers. I think we'll see a different Yu Darvish this year with the Cubs.
Right to Castillo. Cubs starting catcher. I said the same thing about the aforementioned Sandy Koufax. Always tipping his pitches. Good luck hitting him.
Well, they only had 2 of them. You know, and scouting reports and historically said, well, this guy couldn't hit Koufax's curveball. Well, really good, thanks. We got that in the meetings. You know, well, that's great. You tell the pitchers that, well, you can't hit Koufax's curveball, but nobody could. It didn't matter. And again, one of the guys with 2 great pitches who could literally tell you what was coming, and you still had no chance. And that's just the kind of stuff he had. That's why in a very relatively short career, he made the Hall of Fame, because he dominated that career. And, you know, watching Minnesota face him in the World Series, it looked like they suddenly all went blind.
Especially Game 7. The pitch is low, ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. Famous story about how his arm was hurting so badly that before the game he said to John Roseborough, I can't throw my curveball today. Well, what are we going to do? We'll throw fastballs. Shutout. Dodgers win.
Yeah, pretty good. Indeed. And a man that, in watching what he did and how he did it and the way he went about it, what I liked was the fact that never any problems off the field. Always described as a gentleman. He reported himself like a major league pitcher should, and he still does to this day. Looks wonderful. Saw him this spring. Just a terrific guy, and just one of the greatest pitchers ever.
No question. 2-2. I just can't forget the quote from Casey Stengel, who's managing the Mets when Koufax was in his prime. And of course, Stengel was a player and faced Walter Johnson at the 1924 World Series, and he said, "Forget the other guy," meaning Johnson. This is the best pitcher of all time. Sort of high praise.
Yeah, I would say he probably was right.
Here's the 2-2. Darvish delivering to Castillo. Hesitation. That one's roped down the left field side. Foul. That's a wake-up call for the fans down in the corner. 2-2.
Wonderful crowd here today. You can understand. A lot of Sox people, a lot of Cubs people making the trip all the way over from Mesa. A lot of people planning their vacations around maybe a week or 2 in March. Just a touch cooler than it's been, but it's summer resort weather here, and the fans certainly enjoying it, and it's wonderful to see a packed ballpark here at Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona.
Now the 2-2. Throws him with that fastball after a series of off-speed stuff away. That's a pretty good pitch. So Darvish puts the White Sox out in order with a strikeout, a ground out, and a strikeout. We've had 2 scoreless innings here. Crowd to see the Sox and of course the crosstown rival Cubs. And Steve, we got a special guest down in the dugout today, the skipper, Mr. Rick Renteria.
And Rick, a couple weeks to go. What have you liked of this spring for our Sox?
Actually, just the way about they've gone about. I think they haven't disappointed us in the way they've performed.
Progress of Adam Engel. Areas he's improving.
Well, you know, he was delivery in terms of getting that barrel to the ball, and he's got a little bit more fluidity now, a little more rhythm. Sometimes, you know, what is comfortable may not be correct, and once you start to make adjustments at the beginning, there's a little curve of adjustment, and I think he's starting to get the hang of it, feeling good about it, and putting together some pretty good at-bats.
Our fans are being introduced to Wellington Castillo. You've seen him, you know him. What does he bring to the ball club?
Well, listen, he's an experienced backstop, has started to get to understand the pitchers that we have. The conversations that he has with those guys and the experience he brings to the table, you know, he gets after it. He's really good handling these guys, and has actually, you know, done a nice job in settling in with the rest of the ball club, all the players that we have. You know, he's feeling pretty good about where he's at right now, and you know, we're glad to have him.
Ryan Court serves on the right field for a base hit. 19-year-old third baseman of the Cubs, second Cubs hit of the day, and that'll bring up Yu Darvish.
Matt Davidson is leading the major leagues in runs batted in, Ricky, and so with his development, when you look at his swing and everything that Matt does, where is his biggest improvement, just technically?
I think it's not so much the swing as much as his approach, staying in the zone, staying within himself, getting good pitches to hit. He's had a nice spring. I think the confidence level continues to grow. And every year these guys stay with the big league club or in any form of major league service, you know, you're getting more confidence. And I think that's the biggest thing for us and Matty.
Well, Ricky, look, thank you. We've had you on a couple of times. We've done 2 games. We'll let you get back to the game and take care of the boys and have a great spring. And we will be excited to see you in Kansas City.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you. So Court at first base, a 1-0 count on Darvish. Everybody expecting him to bunt. Of course, Sanchez in tight. He rolls it up the first base side, and then it's going to stay foul. 1-1 on Yu Darvish.
Well, Jose realized that perhaps if that ball spins fair, he's going to be able to get the out at first base. He realized the guy was running, so he's not going to get the out at second, so he let it go a little bit further. Normally, if the guy is not running at first, you're going to come, and as soon as that ball trickles foul, you're probably going to go and get it. Jose, who's been around a long time, let the ball play out.
Darvish shortens up, and he's going to look at a strike in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Charging in from the corners that time. Sanchez from third, Abreu from first, with nobody out on the top of the third. See the alignment right there.
For spring training, there's a good chance Joe Madden will have Darvish bunt again. I don't know exactly what he's going to do. Maybe he wants to see something, but the base runner has to be very careful here, because if you bunt through the ball with no contact, Castillo's going to throw to first, got a chance to pick off Court.
Lopez set at the belt. Darvish. And that'll cost him. Strikeout. His second of the afternoon. Lopez. Darvish out trying to get the bunt down. Batter Ian Happ. Interesting, Steve, what Rick Renteria said. We'll get another look at this bunt attempt by Darvish.
He's got the barrel up, which is good, but as soon as you put the barrel down, that means inevitably one of 2 things will happen. 1, you'll pop it straight up. Seems counterintuitive, but it's not. Or 2, you're going to miss it or foul it off. So you have to have the barrel up, in which case the ball will go down. You'll put it in play. Darvish didn't.
Happ struck out to open things up. Oh, Court at first base with 1 out. They put a shift on in the infield for him. Strike 1. Rick Renteria was saying one of the things he was talking about, Steve, is what is comfortable isn't always correct. And I think that's probably one of the things, the most important things that maybe managers and coaches have to impart to young players.
Well, they're trying to give them all the information they can without overloading them, because young players have a hard enough time adjusting without having 15 things in their mind to think about everything, their hands, their feet, whatever the case may be, or their approach, or, you know, where's the swing, how high do you finish, how low do you finish. They need to just go out and play for a while, and then you can tweak them technically.
Ball one. 1-1. Ball and a strike on Ian Happ.
Happ's a pull hitter. That's the reason why Moncada's closing the gap between him and Abreu. The reason why Anderson's up the middle. They expect him to pull the ball. If they do, could be a relatively routine two.
Missed that one. Ball and 2 strikes on Happ. Good sinking fastball right there.
Take a look at the movement. It's actually a change. It looks like a fastball, and the reason why it was so effective is that Ian Happ thought it was a fastball. It was not. He swung over the top.
You talked earlier about the importance of selling that pitch with the arm motion, your arm speed.
Arm velocity and location of the delivery. Release point, arm speed, the keys to changeup.
And that one just missed outside. Ball 2. 2-2 on Happ.
Ian Happ is a very good hitter, and he's getting better. And he also is very versatile. He can play in the outfield. He can play second base if need be. And, you know, Joe Madden and the Cubs really like Ian Happ. On top of which he is a very nice man.
And a switch hitter to boot. Go to first base and Court scrambling back in. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Court edging off the bag. Abreu anchors the bag right there. 2-2. Fought that one off. Count stays even at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Ian Happ with Tommy La Stella on deck.
For those of you just tuning in, you realize that it's not Jason Benetti's voice. That's because it's Russ Langer's voice. A veteran broadcaster broadcasting out of Las Vegas was kind enough to join us today. Jason is off on assignment, and so, Russ, we welcome you here. You're doing a terrific job in the early going, lots of information. I love it. I think our fans do, and so just happy to have you.
Thank you, Steve. It's great. What could be better than this?
Not much.
Beautiful day. Sox Cubs throw to first base, and there's Court getting a uniform dirty. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Jason will be back on Monday, where we will broadcast the game from, well, a ballpark that's fairly close to me, Indian Bend, which is the home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And he will be back for that ball game, and then the rest of them this spring and into the season, along with Hawk Harrelson this year.
Another nice ballpark here in Arizona. Talking Stick. Another throw to first base, and Court back in there as Lopez obviously keeping a close eye on the 19-year-old.
Talking Stick is a great ballpark, and it's the home of both the Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. And so it's been a beautiful ballpark since its inception. It's still very nice, and Diamondbacks love it. The Rockies love it, and there's always a lot of fans there.
2-2 look. Changeup, got him. 3rd strikeout for Ronaldo Lopez, and this was a beauty right here.
2018 ballpark passes on sale now for a limited time only. You can get access to 36 home games in April, May, and September. That excludes opening day in the Cubs series. Only $126, folks, and the pass is going to be available through your MLB Ballpark app. Get more information at WhiteSox.com. Pass and download the MLB Ballpark app through the App Store today.
Grounding ball, and that's Moncada there to flag it. Flip to Abreu. Moncada showing nice range to his left. Listell out 4-3. The leadoff single by Ryan Court and nothing else. So Ronaldo Lopez sharp early. No runs, a hit, no errors, and a man left. And at the end of 2.5, the Cubs and Sox are scoring. Camelback Ranch in Glendale. And, you know, this is a great day today for spring training action. Sox, Cubs, and Steve, we're just going to forge ahead.
I think it's been terrific so far, but you know, let me move back away from you because I look much better the farther away the shot is. So absolutely everything, Russ, is just great. We certainly appreciate having you here. It's just a gorgeous day, and Sox fans, Cub fans abound at the ballpark. I love to see the park full. It's full today.
Well, flattery's gotten you to the third inning so far. We'll see how it goes from here. A strike on Tim Anderson as Darvish lets this one fly and has a nice breaking ball with some good tilt on it. Anderson chasing that one. Timmy, though, having a nice spring. See this pitch again.
Really tough to look for one pitch from Darvish because he can literally throw anything. That is the hard-breaking semi-slider. He can take a little something off, make it bigger breaking curveball. When you can get most everything over the plate, and the best wipeout pitch is not a strike, Darvish is worth the contract, certainly.
Just missed the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Tim Anderson, with Yolmer Sanchez to follow, and then Adam Engel here.
Season, he would go to that same break.
Third, 1 and
too quickly. Darvish did want to throw that curveball alone away. You see where Contreras. From the pitching perspective, you just breathe a thought sigh.
The knees, even you have to count at 2 and 2 on Tim Anderson.
He's just unlimited ability. He's a wonderful athlete. He can do a lot of things. He has what you can't teach, which is a very lively bat. As far as exit velocity, people is exit velocity. So here in Arizona, is cut down. It's actually hitter's paradise. But when you go north, the dirt will soften up, the grass will be a little bit higher. The ground ball that went through in Arizona, the chopper that went through in Arizona will not go through when we much of the hitters, and that's why hitters are overrated in Arizona. Pitchers are underrated in Arizona.
Below us, 2 and 2 to Anderson.
When I say overrated, you're over that pitcher because it's really difficult in Arizona for the pitcher. Dealing with rock hard infields, high skies, and everything that goes with it. If you can see a guy make a substantial curveball here and you know it's going to be 20-30% better up north, that's a guy you're going to have around.
Easy to get fooled by those numbers sometimes. Here's the 2-2 to Anderson again as this duel continues, opening up the bottom of the third. And he fights that one off. By Yolmer Sanchez, who'll go fetch that one behind home plate. Two and 2. Darvish squinting into Contreras to get this one. As a sign he's looking for now. Big breaking ball. He pulled that one foul right behind Nick Kempler.
He's thrown 2 of them in this at bat. He's hung both of them. The reason why Contreras continue to call that pitch is that he wants to get Darvish into the comfort zone. A curveball is not a velocity pitch. It is a rotation pitch. The faster you can make it spin, the more the ball is going to break. And so he doesn't have a feel for it yet. That's why Contreras keeps calling it. You get him the feel of it with all the other pitches, and he becomes doubly tough to hit. He does not have that feeling yet.
And yet another 2-2 to Anderson. Did he go? Yes, he did. The ball goes to the backstop, though. Contreras with a throw, and they will not get it. The throw off target to Navarro, backed up by La Stella, and Anderson safe at first despite striking out.
That's one of the things that Ricky Renteria tells hitters every day. Run. You miss the ball, run. And Tim sees it, takes off. Even with the great arm of Contreras, he can't throw him out at first base. So if your manager's mantra is run hard to first each and every play, Anderson certainly is going to do that, and he parlayed the strikeout into on base.
You saw Anderson hesitate initially, but he turned on the afterburners and he was gone. So now Sanchez comes up. It is the third strikeout for Darvish, but Anderson aboard at first base on the wild pitch. And Yolmer Sanchez, first at bat of the day, switch hitting third baseman for the Sox. And it's ball one. Third baseman Court on the grass, backing up to the edge of the grass now. See that alignment. Toss over to first to keep Anderson honest. Yolmer, another one of the Sox, having a good spring. Hitting well over 300, home run, knocked in 7. And he lifts that one high in the air, foul. It'll settle into the seats off to our left. 1 ball and 1 strike on Yolmer Sanchez. On deck is Adam Engel.
You see where Navarro is there with his left foot. Now he comes back into the field of play. It sounds rudimentary, but the catcher is the only man who can line up in foul territory. The first baseman can't. If that foot is on the line or over the line, the first base umpire will tell him to keep it in the field of play.
There goes Anderson. Pitches a ball to throw, and he's in there. Anderson swipes second base, and the count 2 balls, 1 strike on Yolmer Sanchez.
Longtime Major League catcher and longtime Major League manager Mike Scioscia told me there are no outs on the third base side of second. If you miss on the first base side. There's a throw on the third base side. La Stella can't come back for the tag. The reason why there's no outs on the third base side, you have to move too long for the tag. Anderson in under the throw.
2-1. Sox get him in a scoring position for the first time today. That breaking ball's lifted toward left center, hit well. Almora trying to track it along with Happ, and it's Almora circling over to make the catch. Throw toward third base. A nice one hopper to Court, keeping Anderson at second base. 1 out. Reds on Sunday get a taste of summer with a rematch of the 2016 World Series. Watch the Cubs battle the Indians on NBC Sports Chicago, or stream the game live at NBCSportsChicago.com/watchlive.
Don't know if it's going to be this inning, but I do know that Darvish will give up a home run because he's hanging every breaking ball, and it's just a question of one hitter timing it. They've all been hanging middle in, and if he keeps on throwing it, which I would encourage him to do, one will leave the park.
You heard it here first. Engel takes a breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. We talked about Engel before the game. You see those numbers, especially those power numbers.
He leads the team in home runs. He's also getting some hang time off that front foot, keeping him back. He looks like a different hitter. The hand position is there. It's radically changed from last year. He feels more comfortable. The hang time has really helped him. And Adam Engel, through hard work and perseverance, realizing what it takes to be in the major leagues, has changed just about everything about his swing.
0-2. Those 4 home runs tie Engel for 5th in Cactus League. See Adam there. 2 strikes to count. They love the way he plays center field.
He can go get him alley to alley with just about anybody in baseball. Doesn't get the acclaim of Kiermaier, a few others who are really good, but if he starts hitting a little bit, you know, a lot of times you win the Gold Glove by hitting. You got to be a good fielder, but the best hitter wins a Gold Glove.
And finds the inside corner. 4 strikeouts for Darvish today.
Let's take a look at last year Adam Engel and this year Adam Engel. Look at the hand position. Left side is last year, right side this year. Completely different. Hands away from the body this year, the hands closer to the body and down. Now take a look at the foot. Last year, very little leg kick. This year, hand position completely different. The leg kick is higher. Everything just works very well. Watch it there. You see a little bit higher leg kick. Not drastically, but a little bit higher, but it's the hand position that's the biggest factor. And I credit the young man making the adjustment. He realized after last year that what he was doing was not working. So you have 2 choices. Work hard, change, make it work, or get another job. He chose to work hard and make it work, and so far it is working.
Ball 1 to Moncada, who grounded out 3-1 in the first inning. So Anderson opening by reaching on a third strike that got away from Contreras. Then he stole second. Sanchez flied out. Engel looked at a third strike on the inside corner. And this is a 1-0 to Yoan Moncada. Strike backdoor breaking ball. 1-1.
Teams like to work on pickoffs that they don't usually use during the season. And so Anderson has to be heads up because Freeman is pretty much playing up the middle. He's behind him anyway. It's might as well go to the bag once or twice.
That one's hit in the air to right. Borges hesitated. Now he cruises in and picks it off, and that's the inning. In the bottom of the third, the Sox get no runs, hits, or errors. They leave Anderson at second base through 3 frames.
Folks, if you come here, if you live here, most people go to Don and Charlie's. A terrific place, been around since 1981. Don Carson, a wonderful host. The food's terrific. I usually go there all the time, and during spring training, it is the heart of baseball. You see people from every part of the country, every fandom represented Don and Charlie's. Is pretty good. Get a chance, go see it.
It's a long drive left by Contreras, way back, and it is gone. Wilson Contreras deep down the left field side of the Lopez, opening up the 4th inning. And the Cubs get on the scoreboard first here at Campbell Bank.
The Cubs have the luxury of a catcher that can really hit. Although the first responsibility of the catcher is defense, Contreras is getting better. He's got a great arm, and he can do hits. A rolling curveball. Not much on it. Contreras able to wait back, and he wasn't fooled in the least. He hit it a mile. Wilson Contreras.
He wasn't fooled 21 times last year.
No, outstanding and just getting better.
Third Cubs hit. And here's Navarro. Efren Navarro, who's singled right. Native of Southern California, who went to UNLV. 1 ball and no strikes on Efren Navarro. What's funny, Steve, you were talking before about all the hanging breaking balls being thrown by Yu Darvish, and right there, Lopez kind of rolled one and out it went.
Yeah, usually, I mean, that's the case. You breathe a sigh of relief if they hit it foul, but he didn't. Contreras was able to wait back long enough and put a charge into it. So, Cubs very happy to have him. You look around their starting lineup and realize that they're a very, very good team. But then I look at Jose Quintana as their number 4 starter, and you realize how good that rotation is.
That one's hit deep to right field. Garcia chasing it, and that one's off the fence. Garcia fires it back towards second base, and Navarro slides in with a double. And Lopez has given up 2 long hits, opening up the Cubs' board.
Javi's made major improvements in the outfield, and with his arm, he gets the ball quickly enough and then plays the carom off the wall, making a pinpoint throw to second. Because there's no doubt Navarro thought it's an easy 2-base hit, and speed is not a big part of his game normally anyway. Watch Javi. Plays it off the wall on the hop and makes a good solid throw despite moving to his left, throwing back to his right. The throw is good enough, but can't get there in time.
Here's Almora. That one gets away from Castillo, and Navarro hustles down to third base on a wild pitch. Ball 1.
Spring training for everybody, and there is no doubt that Castillo had it to do again would not backhand this ball. You shift to the right 1 step, watch him backhand this or attempt to backhand it. Not the way to get it done. And he realizes that. Again, spring training, you know, you don't want to get hurt, so maybe you're not doing things you do during the season, but you shift quickly to your right. If you can, you drop to your knees, you angle your body. On the hop, the ball trickles forward. That time, let it get by.
Sox elect to pull the infield in now. The 1-0 to Almora, and that one just missed. Ball 2. 2-0. So now the Cubs with 4 hits, and Navarro has 2 of them. A single and a double, and he's pulled both of them. That one. His first time out. Roll over third. Sanchez over to first and pull the infield in, and it paid off that time. 1 out.
Homer, who plays every position very well, just caught that little chopper to the left side. First thing he did was take a look. You freeze the base runner. You make the easy out.
Now Mike Freeman with Navarro at first in the second inning. Navarro was running on a pitch, and Freeman hit a little bouncer to Moncada for about 4-3, so they maintain the infield in status as Freeman checks in against Lopez. Outside ball one. Lopez cruised through 3. A little bump on the road here with a home run and a double, but trying to strand Navarro if he can. 1-0 on Mike Freeman. Despite grounding out in his first trip, is over 400 this spring for the Cubs. Off speed, that was it way back to right field. Garcia's watching that one, and it is gone. The second home run of the spring for Mike Freeman. And now the Cubs have opened up a 3-0 lead in the top of the fourth.
We could tell you about that pitch and analyze it, but really it's two-run homer any way you look at it. So let's talk about spring training. I was able to face the Arizona State Diamondbacks in spring training when I was pitching for the team that's currently in blue over there. Gave up 10 runs in the first inning. Got Bump Wills out. Everybody got on after careful deliberation. They were rattling it against the walls. Bump Wills came up again. I got him out a second time. If not for Bump Wills, I'd still be trying to get out ASU in Mesa. So spring training doesn't matter much. And when you start losing it in the spring, you're happy that it is the spring. They don't count. Right now, the young man is struggling a bit. But you know what? If you're going to throw them at all during the year, throw as many as you can down here.
Make those pitches in March. One on to Borges, who got a little calling card after the home run. He popped out just short his first time, and there's another one that went way too far inside. 2-0 on Peter Borges. Borges looking around like, is that meant for me? 2-0.
No, right now he's just lost all command, and you know it's a good trip to the mound, and the infield is in. Everybody talking to him. It's, you take a breath, just relax. You can't do anything about the pitches you've made. They're history. All you can think about is the pitch you're going to make. Make a good pitch, everything is fine. Then make another one. But relax a little bit, settle down, and that's what they just did to Lopez.
Obviously, as we talked about, spring training is different, but in a sense, this is a test of mental toughness during the regular season, a situation like this.
Oh, absolutely. Once, you know, a younger pitcher, there's one thing that is a common thread, and that is when they're really good, if they're a good pitcher, they just sail along and get everybody out. But a young pitcher, when he starts to get touched up, he can't turn off the spigot. And that's what separates him. The veteran pitchers can give up a couple of runs, then you never get any more hits. And you just, you know, you shut out the inning, and then you go back to get them again. That's a veteran pitcher. But a young pitcher, again, you can throw five no-hit innings if you're a youngster. You start to get touched up in the sixth, and all of a sudden there's 5 on the board. The veteran pitcher knows how to turn it off and take a bad situation and end it right now. Tough for kids.
That one is served off the end of the bat in there for a base hit. Engelland to grab it. So Borges aboard. And that's 4 hits in the inning. 2 homers, a double. Now that single, not hit that well, but it fell in.
Has been for a very long time. This is not upsetting to him. They're going to go over the video. He's going to see it. He's got good pitches. Nobody hits a negative outing. Positive thoughts, and he can do it as well as anybody. He said, you know, obviously you give up 8 runs. Okay, let's say you give up 8 runs, but he'll look at the positive here, and then you walk away thinking, okay, the result not good. Let's look at the process. Let's clean up the process. Then the result gets a whole lot better.
And this play at the other end by Moncada.
Play for Yoan Moncada. Tough ball to throw because the hitter is right in his way. Good pick by Moncada, second base. 2-8 contact.
Ball and 2 strikes on a young man out of Illinois State, Ryan Court. That's inside, ball 2. 2-2. Court was in the Red Sox system last year, AAA Pawtucket. He's a native of Illinois, Elgin. Always wanted to play for the Cubs. And here he is. Here's the 2-2 from Ronaldo Lopez. And that one just missed. Lopez staring in, thought he had a strike. 3-2. Gort, the youngest player in the field. Still in his team. Castillo wig-wagging a sign. Now the payoff on the way. Foul back. Steve, is it not true that when a righty's facing a righty and a catcher sets up inside, or a lefty's facing a lefty, the catcher sets up inside, it's generally a fastball?
95% of the time. Now they will cut the ball more today inside, right-hander to right-hander, than ever before, but more times than not, if it sets up inside, you're going to see a fastball righty to righty.
Another foul ball.
I used to throw a cutter inside my first year with the Giants, and I threw one, and the pitching coach, Larry Jansen, said, "What was that?" I said, "Well, I throw it at the hitter, and I force him out, and then it shaves off the inside corner." He says, "And you think that's going to work?" I said, "Yeah." I threw it to Jimmy Wynn. As soon as it left my hand, it was against the wall in left field. I came in, he goes, "You might want to forget that, son."
Another foul ball, and he's hanging tough with a 3-2 count.
Against obviously a different era, but now the pitches come back. Now they freeze hitters, and if you can get any movement, good cutters can be thrown on either side of the plate, and the guys that can command them, righty to righty or lefty to lefty, as you said, those guys are invaluable. You don't want to throw it a lot, because if you start to and the hitter opens up and then you're cutting it back over the plate, you got some problems.
Lopez, another new ball to work with as he tries to wriggle off the hook here, and he just missed there. A couple of close pitches in that sequence for Ryan Court, a nice at bat. First walk issued by Lopez, and the inning is extended now for Yu Darvish, who struck out trying to bunt in the third.
70 pitches, a particularly tough inning for Ronaldo, but a great opportunity to get out of it with Darvish coming to bat.
Strike one. So in the inning, Contreras homered to left. Efren Navarro doubled midway off the right field fence. Went to third in a wild pitch. Stayed there in a ground ball to third with the infield in by Almora. Then Freeman a 2-run home run to right. Borges' single was caught stealing. And now Court has drawn a walk, and here's the 0-1 to Darvish. Right field line, and that is a foul ball. 0-2.
Russ, I can relate to that because that for me was called pulling the ball. I was a right-hand hitter. That's about as close as I got to the right side. So, you know, when you hit 100, you don't put that many balls in play.
For me, it was a grand slam. 0-2. Court, a couple of steps off first. Jose Abreu right there as Lopez rotates the ball behind his back. 0-2. And there you go, a base hit to right center by Darvish on an 0-2 pitch, no less. Heading to third base is Court as Abreu's throw is cut off by Anderson. And the Cubs continue to do damage in the fourth inning. Runners at the corners. For the top of the order, Ian Happ. See it again.
Off-speed pitch, slider, just hung up in the zone.
On an 0-2 count. Oh, Darvish taking that outside pitch and going right with it. And Court pedaling over to third. So now runners at the corners are 2 outs. The 8th man to bat in the inning is Ian Happ. Now Lopez has handled him twice. He has struck out each time he's been up there. Last time on a changeup. So Court is at third. Darvish is at first. 5 hits in the inning plus a walk, and that caught stealing by Borges looking a little bigger right here.
Very good play by Yoan Moncada. Now watch this. Take a look in at Castillo. Watch what he does with the glove. He's trying to convince Darvish they're going inside by sound. But when you hang a slider over the middle of the plate, it doesn't work that well. But a good thought by Castillo.
1-0. Missed that one. 1 ball to 1 strike. That's the same pitch that struck him out in the third inning. 3 runs in, 2 men on, 2 men out in the top of the 4th. It was 0-0 when the inning began. Cubs have struck for 3, and Lopez looking to wriggle off the hook after getting his cage rattled thoroughly here in this inning. A 1-1, and that's down the right field side. That's in there to the corner for extra bases. Garcia chases it. Court scores. Darvish will get to third base and stop on a double by Ian Happ. And the Cubs now have cracked it open. They lead 4-0. And the 9th man to bat in the inning, Tommy La Stella, coming up.
We told you about Ian Happ earlier. He's just a very good hitter. And here he shows it to you. The off-speed pitch. He stays back well enough. Takes it down the line. They've made a major addition to the coaching staff. It's Brian Butterfield at third base. Now, it's spring training. He's not going to push Darvish to score there because it's really useless. You don't want to hurt a starting pitcher. So he just goes back. Here's a look at Butterfield, who absolutely one of the great infield coaches in all of baseball. The Cubs brought him over. It was a great change for them. And Brian Butterfield has been very good for a long time. They've got Chili Davis as a hitting coach, another guy who's been just terrific for a long time. There's pretty much wholesale changes in the coaching staff, but each and every one of those, along with Will Venable, who's the first base coach, a very good and smart man. And the big one, Jim Hickey, coming over from Tampa Bay.
Grounding ball, Moncada there to handle this one. And that's that. But the Cubs bat around in the 4th inning, and they collect 4 runs on 6 hits. No errors, leaving 2 at the end of 3.5. Cubs 4 and the Sox nothing on it.
Going to beef hot dogs every Wednesday home game this season. Take advantage of this unbeatable deal as you cheer on the Sox all season long. Get single game tickets now at whitesox.com. And we are happy to introduce the general manager, Rick Hahn, the architect of what appears to be one of the best young teams in all of baseball talent-wise. And Rick, we've had a couple of injuries this year that have been obviously disappointing because injuries always are. Give me some updates on the guys who were hurt.
Well, on the positive side of the ledger, Luis Robert, who unfortunately suffered a torn ligament in his thumb sliding into second base in the plate appearance before the Grand Slam, is recovering. He's going to be down for roughly 10 weeks, but once he returns, that injury should be fully behind him, and he'll still get, obviously multiple months down in an affiliate and flashed his ability while he was here that made a very strong impression and make us all eager to get him back out on the field. But it's the kind of injury that once he heals from it, it should be a non-factor going forward. Similarly, Miker Adolfo does have a tear in his elbow, which we thought was going to potentially cost him the majority of the season, but in reality he's been able to swing the bat just fine without any ill effects, so we aren't going to have to miss out on that very important element of his development this year from the offensive side. So you're right, injuries happen. It's unfortunate, especially when something like Jake Berger's Achilles occurs that is going to cost him a season, but knock on wood, so far nothing that is going to be too lingering or too detrimental to most players' development.
You made a great deal with the Washington Nationals. And a good part of it we're seeing today, and a good part of it we saw in our first broadcast, Lucas Giolito. Lucas has made such great strides. What's been the biggest factor for him from what he was early with the Nationals and what he is with the Sox?
Obviously he always had the God-given ability to make him a first-round pick, and it was why he was such a high-profile guy, even coming off of surgery out of the draft his senior year of high school. I think somewhere along the line, in his development, he got rushed a little bit, perhaps got to the big leagues because there was urgency there. They needed, in a year in which they were contending for a championship, they needed all hands on deck. And Lucas being moved up and down repeatedly, probably from a developmental standpoint, didn't quite benefit as much as he would have from being in the minors the whole year. And the expectations that come with being a first-round pick and then compounding that with struggling in your first experience at the big league level, I think a lot of what he was suffering from was the weight of the expectations. And coming here, getting a new lease on life, knowing that he was going to get the ball every 5th day, and once he was ready, he was going to have the opportunity to take the ball every 5th day at the big league level, I think allowed him to exhale to an extent. He's a very cerebral guy. He knows his mechanics well. He knew they were out of whack when we acquired him. And through the work he did with Don Cooper up at the big league level and Kurt Hassler here in Chicago, to Steve McCaddy back in AAA Charlotte, really helped get him back on track.
Everybody wants a Kimbrel or a Chapman coming out of that bullpen. We don't have the luxury of that. Explain to us this year the bullpen and just how it sets up and how you see it playing out.
You know, Ricky has talked a lot, not just publicly, but also in the clubhouse and in the meetings with the pitchers about
Garcia sends a one hop over the center field fence for an automatic double.
I like how you say automatic double instead of ground rule double. I like that. That's technically correct. I like that. Pardon me.
Oh, that's great.
We're talking about the bullpen.
No, English is terrific. I like that.
Ricky has said repeatedly in the meetings with the pitchers and publicly, we're looking for you guys to get outs. We're not necessarily going to have an anointed closer. Certainly Soria has some experience in that role, success in that role. Nate Jones has always been talked about, a guy who, given his stuff and given the success he's had at the big league level, could fit in that role. And it certainly may wind up over the course of the season that guys fall into a little bit more strict usage patterns. But Ricky's got these guys in a good place, whether it's veteran guys like Soria and Avalon, who we acquired from the Dodgers this offseason, or Nate Jones, knowing we're going to call upon you and have you serve in whatever role from a matchup standpoint makes the most sense to maximize the outs.
Matt Davidson is leading the major leagues in front, batted in with 16. Where do you see him playing out this year? I mean, is it going to be all third? Is it going to be some third? Is it going to be DH? Or it's going to be all of the above? I mean, what does it look like for Matt?
I think you're going to see a lot of DH appearances for him, as well as third and first, to the opportunity to get Jose off his feet from time to time, which Jose benefits from. And Matty has done a nice job around the bag over at first base in the time we've had him over there last year as well as this spring. I think Yolmer will wind up, in all probability, being the primary third baseman, but Matty will still get his opportunities over there. Obviously, we've seen the power from Matt, what he's capable of doing, the damage he's capable of doing, and this spring, I think you've seen a more well-rounded hitter than we saw over the course of last season, and it gives Matt something to build off of as we enter the season.
Talk a little bit about the maturation and the development of Tim Anderson at shortstop.
You know, Timmy obviously has a ton of tools, and when we originally drafted him out of the junior college, he was viewed as extremely raw and a guy who was going to need a great deal of repetition over at shortstop in order to stay there. I remember initially when we drafted him, our scouts and everyone who saw him in the organization was confident that with time he would be a strong, above average shortstop given his ability, but the view in the industry was sort of, I don't know if this guy's necessarily a shortstop. And then after 1 year of him being in our system, the view sort of changed to, well, he hasn't shown me anything that shows he can't be a shortstop. And then finally, after another year in the minor leagues, the consensus view was, yeah, that's a shortstop. And I think you continue to see growth, given the arm strength, given the range, the athleticism. You know, the chance remains for him to be that impact defensive caliber shortstop plus defensive caliber shortstop. And now that, as he has publicly talked about, a lot of the weighty off the field issues he was dealing with last year, I think you're going to see a fairly exciting year from Timmy going forward. Well,
as we make the tour of the Sox infield, let's go to Moncada next because he's the logical guy at second. Tell us a little bit about him, where he is development-wise at this stage.
You know, Yohan is still only 22 years old, has only spent roughly half a year up at the big league level, and still has a world of talent, which is what made him viewed as the #1 prospect in baseball back when we acquired him. There's still going to be some maturation. There's still going to be some struggles from time to time as he continues to adjust to the league.
Tremendous diving catch by Almora. Well, it cost the Sox a double play.
But at the same time with Yohan, even though there will be fits and starts over the course of the season, the upside is tremendous, and we're very not only thrilled that we have him, but very pleased with how he has come along in the short time that we've had him as a member of the White Sox organization. Again, there is this element, given the speed of the game, given the level of scrutiny and the pressure that occurs at the big league level, there is an element of development that can only happen at this highest level. And Yohan, like many of these young players that we'll have up here in the coming years, are not necessarily finished products right when they get here, but they're going to continue on the path of developing and reaching their potential here before our eyes in Chicago.
Last year at this time, very few people knew the name Nicky Delmonico. This year, he's your starting left fielder. So you brought him in. What was your thinking when you brought him in, and did you see this type of ceiling for a young man who looks like he's got big power?
You know, Nicky was a highly regarded player out of high school. The Baltimore Orioles took him, I believe, in the 4th or 5th round and overpaid for the slot position because of his talent and the expectation of needing to buy him out of his college opportunities. When he ultimately got let go after being traded from Baltimore to Milwaukee, it was due to some off-the-field issues that our scouts and player development staff were aware of, and realized that it was the kind of thing that with some assistance that Nicky could conceivably get back on track to being that highly regarded prospect he was back when he was drafted by Baltimore. Nicky himself deserves a world of credit for this. He did get a great deal of support from our employee assistance program, as well as folks in our player development department to help give him the support he required. But as you talk to Nicky now about it, he'll tell you about the struggles he had and what he's done to put them behind him and allowed his talent to flourish and just focus mostly or primarily on what goes on the field now without any interference. And you know, Kenny and I have talked about this on a number of occasions. There's certainly some very highly regarded guys running around here that we're very optimistic about their future. But from time to time, we might be surprised. There might be some pleasant surprises along the way. We realize that not every prospect is going to develop along the path that we've projected. Not every guy is going to hit their ceiling. The baseball gods can be cruel from time to time, whether it's due to the injuries we talked about or simply underperformance. But at the same time, there's going to be some pleasant surprises along the way. And a guy like Nicky Delmonico reaching his potential now just might be one of those.
Well, timing is everything, and if Nicky Delmonico, knowing that you brought him over here, would like to reward you, then he's going to hit one out of the park here, and things are going to look a whole lot better, especially if Darvish keeps hanging that curveball. But fortunately for him, it hung outside.
I like the plan.
It's a good
plan. Len.
Yeah.
It's easy up here, isn't it? The farther away you are from the dirt, the easier this game is.
I got to tell you, it's been really easy low these many years. It was really tough down there. It's just really tough. So when you take a look at the team, the entire team, and where this entire team, including your minor leagues, is at this stage of development, looking down the road, realistically, our fans would love to be competitive this year. They certainly believe we're going to be competitive next year. From a standpoint of development of this huge talent, but young, that you guys have, what's going to happen in the next couple of years, 3 years? How do you see this team playing out?
You know, I think one of the main things, two main things we want to see this year is, one, the team continue to play as hard as they played last year under Ricky. And Ricky and the staff has done a tremendous job creating this culture where this team fights day in, day out for 27 outs. And that was important for us to establish, regardless of necessarily the talent level that was in the dugout or in the clubhouse on a given night, because that's the kind of thing that's going to endure and is really going to serve us well once we have a World Series championship caliber roster available to him and the staff. So we want to see that continue.
Let's hit deep to right center. Borges and Almora, and Almora's in
Almost
to take
had
it.
it, Steve.
Not
You
scripted
almost
that
called
well,
it.
but Rick, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here, and good luck down the way. No more injuries. Let's get us to Kansas City. Everybody healthy.
Sounds good.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you. Not much going on.
Monday, the White Sox are back in action on NBC Sports Chicago as they take on the Diamondbacks. Coverage begins at 3, or stream the game live at NBCSportsChicago.com/watchlive. There you have it. Along with Steve Stone, Russ Langer, there are a couple of fans out here to spend a March afternoon, and what better way to do it? 4-0 Cubs thus far. And Lopez deals, and it's a fastball foul back, strike one on Contreras, who began all that ruckus in the 4th inning with a home run, and it led to a 4-run inning for the Cubs. Small fans.
This is seemingly just a random inning in spring training. But for Don Cooper and Ricky Renteria, they're looking at Lopez and how he bounces back from what was a disastrous last inning. So it doesn't matter what happened before. They want to see him button it down and get through this inning. And when he starts to do that consistently, then you'll know the maturation of a young pitcher is starting to get complete. So big inning for Lopez.
Here's the 1-1. That's also hit to deep right center. Garcia hustling all the way back to the wall and jumps up, and Garcia makes a circus catch at the right field wall. A little attaboy from Contreras right there.
We talked about Avi getting a whole lot better in right field. He showed it to his left earlier, this time to his right. You make sure that you make the call. He wants to make sure that everybody knows he's got the ball. Contreras has big power both sides. He thinks he hit it out of the ballpark. Avi there. Good timing. Goes up, little contact with the wall, comes away, shows it to the umpire, and Ronaldo says, okay, I made a mistake. You bailed me out. Contreras with the tip of the cap. Very nice.
And that's going to be all by Garcia. You can't make a better catch than that. Xavier Hernandez, lefty, is going to come in as Lopez will leave. He had 3 very nice innings, and then the Cubs hit him very solidly in the 4th. The great play by Garcia opening up this inning, and we'll step aside. 5th inning, 4-0 Cubs.
There's a look at Xavier Cedeno. Sox brought a lot of lefties into camp so far. You see the ERA. He's trying to make the ball club. Lefties who get the ball over the plate. Maybe he's auditioning for 29 other teams. He knows each and every performance is special. For him, a big one. He'd like to pick it up a bit.
First man he'll face is Efrain Navarro, who has singled to right, double to right, and scored. Breaking ball for a strike on 1. So for Lopez, he had allowed 4 in the 3rd innings, allowed 4 runs, earned on 8 hits. Walk, 3 strikeouts. And again, the rough inning was the 4th. But Garcia making a tremendous catch opening up this inning on the ball hit by Contreras. Ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cedeno's from Puerto Rico, 5'11", 210. Been around the block. He's 31 now. He's been in quite a few games. This is his 8th appearance. Total of 6 in the 3rd innings, allowing 4 earned runs with a 5.68 ERA. But the nice numbers, only a walk and 9 strikeouts thus far for Cedeno. A 1-1 in there. 1-2. Base is empty, 1 gone. Albert Almora waits on deck. Cedeno, big league time with Tampa Bay. Parts of 3 years. Washington and Houston prior to that. See Navarro awaiting. He's trying to get his 3rd hit of the game. That's too low. Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Once you've established you can get out major league hitters, if you're a left-hand pitcher and you're healthy, odds are overwhelming you will find a job someplace.
Lefties have 9 lives, don't they?
Again, stay healthy, get the ball over, and yeah, you're going to pitch a long time.
Just missed. Ball 3. 3-2.
Reference Jesse Orosco, Jamie Moyer, guys who just pitch forever. Moyer was a starter. Obviously, Javier Lopez, another more recent left-hander, but they got the ball over the plate. They took the ball, which is what a manager loves. You got a guy up. He tells you before the game, I'm ready. Pitches 3 days in a row and tells you he's ready. The left-hander who can get the ball over the plate will find work.
On the ground to 3rd. Sanchez right there on the job. And they're 2 down. Batter now, Albert Almora. Probably Cedeno's best year in the big leagues was 2 years ago for Tampa. With the Rays, he appeared in 54 games. 3-4 with a 3.7 ERA, an average better than a strikeout per inning. Almora 0 for 2. Fly to left, grounded out to 3rd against Lopez. And now trying his luck against Xavier Cedeno. Big breaking ball, spins in there for a strike, 0-1. Left-handed hitting Mike Freeman would be next.
Outfield shaded a touch toward right center, the big gap in left center field.
Fouled off, got a piece of his foot. He goes down in a heap. 0-2.
A lot of frustration because you see the shin guard on the left foot, and yet that ball probably hit him in a spot that he really didn't like. Watch it again. High leg kick. Ball looks like it hit just above the tape, didn't hit the shin guard at all, and that's one of the reasons why he's not feeling real well right now.
And that breaking ball down around the ankles. 1-2. One ball and 2 strikes. Almora struggling this spring. But one of the young faces for the Cubs. Still only 23. Here's a 1-2. Got him. So Cedeno comes in and restores order with a ground out and a strikeout. The Cubs go on. 4-0 Cubs. You go to the bottom of the 5th inning, and Steve, so far it's been one big inning that's made the difference.
And so far, you'd have to say the performance early for Lopez was good. 80 pitches, his limit. He came out. Nice job by Cedeno. Right now, as far as offense, Sox defense looking really good.
Indeed. So we go to the bottom of the 5th right now. It's this analysis you simply can't get anywhere else. Hello there. Sombrero Day. I didn't know that. I forgot mine. All right. Yu Darvish, through 4, has given up just 2 hits.
But don't worry, tomorrow it's going to be green.
How did I know that? The pitch is up and in, ball 1, 1-0. On Wellington Castillo, who took a call, 3rd strike against Darvish in the 2nd. Both hits, by the way, by the Sox acrobat in right field, Avi Garcia. Did a great catch on the ball hit by Wilson Contreras in the 5th. And Avi at the plate, a single and a double. There's the 1-0. Castillo looks at a borderline pitch for a strike, 1-1.
You don't see it very often, but we're seeing 2 very powerful catchers. I mean, 2 guys who can hit it a long way. And there's one, and there's the other.
1-1. That's hit to deep center. Speaking of, Almora racing all the way back to the wall, and it bounces and hits off the fence. Now Almora's going to chase it on the warning track, and so Castillo into second base with about a 405-foot double.
Wellington can put a charge into it. We saw the power of Contreras earlier as he took one way out of the ballpark. Now you see the Sox counterpart. Wellington's got big power. And he shows it to Darvish, who gets careless with the fastball, middle in and up. Wellington puts a charge into it, not quite enough to get out of the ballpark, but certainly enough to make an impression on Darvish.
Well, Almora showing great range to hustle back there, but he had no chance to catch that ball. That's the 3rd Sox hit and the first one by anyone other than Avi Garcia. So now here's Anderson, and he looks at a strike 1-1. Anderson struck out opening up the 3rd, but when that 3rd strike skipped away from Contreras to the backstop, Anderson momentarily hesitated, then found another gear and raced to first base ahead of the throw, then stole second. So he's 0 for 1, but showed good hustle to get to first. And the 0-1. To second, LaStella on a knee to pick that one up, get it over to first base. It's one of those constructive outs. Runner at 3rd with 1 out.
I love the at-bat. 4-0 down, middle of the ball game, and Tim Anderson, who's really starting to understand how to play the game, went up with only one plan, and that was hit the ball to the right side, make sure that Castillo was able to get to third base after the at-bat. He accomplished it. He's got a very happy ball club, a very happy hitting coach in Todd Steverson, and Ricky Renteria gives him a pat, and that's exactly how Tim Anderson has gone about learning his craft.
Castillo, first Sox player to get to third base in this game, and now Sanchez will try to cash him in. And an off-speed pitch floats in high, ball 1. Sanchez flied out to center fielder Almora. The ball hit toward left center. Get decent wood on it. Homer 0 for 1. Adam Engel waiting his turn on deck. Full foul. 1 ball to 1 strike. One thing about Yu Darvish, I remember all of the discussion about Darvish and the hype, if you will, back in 2011 when he was still over in Japan. I guess one of the things about importing in Japanese pitchers, sometimes you don't know how much mileage is on that arm.
Well, the only thing that the organizations in the United States know is that they don't pitch quite as much.
Ball gets away. The throw by Contreras gets by, and in to score is Castillo, and the Sox get at least one back in the 5th, and it's 4-1 Cubs.
normal baseball team, that play is not worked on near enough, because for a pitcher it's very difficult. For a catcher, he's got to make essentially a blind throw. In this case, Contreras tries to backhand, but he's setting up low and away, so that was location by Darvish, and then the slide. Contreras, being a position player, very athletic, gets to the ball. Darvish comes in, and that throw is nowhere close. Tough play to execute on both ends, but again, they don't work on it near enough. It's a tough thing to work on because you want to have a live runner. You want the pitcher to feel what it's like to have a guy bearing down on you that you can't see. You want him to locate the plate while he's looking for the baseball. Tough things to do, should be worked on more. I think the Sox do a good job of that. Most teams don't.
And that went to the backstop. 3-2 on Sanchez. So Castillo doubled, and Anderson, talk about get him on, get him over, get him in. That ground ball moved him over and set up the run on the wild pitch.
Exactly what happened. And for Darvish, whose best year was 16-9 with Texas, his first year in the major leagues, he's had a couple of years for him that have been disappointing. He's trying to pick it up and substantiate the faith contractually that the Cubs made in him.
Up the middle, Freeman to his left has it behind the bag, and from the fringe of the outfield grass makes the throw. 2 down. In some ways, you could make the point that Darvish's career has paralleled, just on some level, that of Brett Saberhagen from the 80s. He's had the good year, off year, the good year. Twice now he's been in the top 3 in the Cy Young voting, but as you said, he's had some off years also.
And you know, you were talking about wear and tear on Japanese pitchers. The one thing, because Hugh Darvish is half Japanese, he was able to come out earlier. His team needed some money. I believe the Nippon Ham Fighters, they needed some money. He came here earlier as a younger man than the normal Japanese pitcher. But a lot of people don't understand. Yes, the baseball is a bit different, but the biggest adjustment is the culture. Coming to another country, whether you know the language or not, it's difficult because you haven't been here. The Sox do a great job of bringing all their international players in and then letting them adjust, having people around always with them. I mean, interpreters have been around a long time, but it's the total package that the Sox have so well. That's why there's so many Cuban players that play for the Sox. And also, Japanese players play for the Sox. They make the transition easier. It's a tough transition. Darvish has made it pretty well, and that's what you're looking for coming from any place else coming here.
One hopper backhanded by Freeman. He has to throw a ground ball over to Navarro, who digs it out. And Engel is out 6-3, but a nice play by Freeman. He knew he had to hustle with Engel's speed. The Sox get their first run of the game. 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, no one left. Welcome back to Camelback Ranch in Glendale. Russ Langer here along with Steve Stone. We're in the 6th inning. 4-1. The Cubs lead the Sox, and we're very pleased to have Brooks Boyer join us. He's, of course, the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the White Sox. Brooks, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Russ, good to hear you on some White Sox baseball.
Good to be here, absolutely.
Sound of spring. It's great. We're having a great time out here. We have our sponsors and some of our premium seating clients are here, so we're enjoying some White Sox baseball, some nice weather, and getting ready for baseball season.
First pitch, loop foul near the dugout, third base wide. Strike 1 to Mike Freeman facing Xavier Cedeno, the second Sox pitcher of the day. What are some of the things, Brooks, that Sox fans can look forward to in a marketing and promotional sense in 2018?
Well, obviously the first thing is you get a very fun team, a team that's growing, a team that is very exciting and going to be a very interesting team to follow as time goes on, and you're going to want to see the development of these players over the course of time. But I think what you're going to see at the ballpark that's going to be new is some new LED boards that stretch from the Stadium Club all the way to our Comcast Fundamentals deck. You're going to see some different food items as we're always excited to announce.
Freeman takes from the opposite way for a base hit. Delmonico gets it back in. And so that brings up Borges.
And there's always great ways to get to the ballpark, as you guys know, whether it's a season ticket plan, a suite plan of some sort. Individual game tickets are on sale. Plenty of promotions that are going on. And this happens, by the way, every time, just so you know. There's always a pitching change, or there's always something always happens.
Sometimes it's a half hour, half inning.
Well, that's right. I hope people aren't sick of my voice just yet. That's for sure.
The Sox are, in fact, changing pitchers as Cedeno will depart, and the new pitcher will be Gregory Infante. He'll be the one coming on now right, and it'll be the third pitcher of the day for the Sox as we play here in the 6th inning, visiting with Brooks Boyer. So definitely some exciting things for the fans to look forward to.
No doubt. I mean, yes, we're like every other Major League Baseball ballpark, there will be new netting above the dugouts. But as we do that, and as you can see here, it really doesn't make an impact on the game. So you're going to see a lot of different infrastructure improvements in our concession stands. You're going to see a new look in the ballpark. We have moved our retired jerseys and retired numbers. But like I said, the most important thing is to get White Sox baseball back in front of our fans as we continue this process of putting ourselves in contention to get a spot in the playoffs.
Seems to be a great deal of excitement around camp with some of just a plethora of hugely talented young players.
Well, I think one of the great things that we are doing this year is we're going to have 17 of our AAA games on NBC Sports Chicago, where people can see. Right now, we're all watching the NCAA tournament, and it is a preview of a number of players that are playing the NBA. We don't have that for baseball. So for our fans to be able to see some of these young players, these up-and-coming players, to be able to see them developing and getting ready to take the step to the majors is a great thing for us.
Brooks, talk a little bit about bringing back the older White Sox players, the history of the White Sox. You guys have done a great job of integrating the past with the future and the present. Who are you bringing back new guys this year that our fans might not know are ambassadors? Sometimes they're advisors, sometimes they're helpers.
Well, interestingly enough, we have Frank Thomas, Tim Raines, Harold Baines are all here with us this weekend. So, it's great to have those guys because obviously it's 2 Hall of Famers and one that arguably should be in the Hall of Fame as part of our history. But we also have we're bringing back A.J. Pierzynski, someone who is near and dear to the hearts of many White Sox fans, and we think it's important. We think it's important for fans to be able to connect to our past as we look to our future, because those are the guys that set up what the White Sox are ultimately all about.
One strike on Peter Borges as we get a look there at Gregory Infante. Only pitched 2 innings so far, giving up a couple of runs, and we continue visiting with Brooks Boyer, the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the White Sox, as we play in the 6th inning. The Cubs on top by a score of 4-1. That's in the air to left, and Delmonico appears to have it lined up. There's out number 1, and Ryan Court will come up next. So this is a huge weekend with so many of the sponsors out here, and I'm sure everybody's having a good one.
No, there's no doubt about it. When you can get out of the weather, I left on Tuesday and it was a whiteout. So to be able to come out here is terrific. As you get a little look at our, I don't know who those people are. They're not with our group, but as you see some people enjoying, there you go. Tim Raines' daughters get a little airtime. That's terrific. As we bring them out here, it gets people excited for the season, and we're excited as well.
And that's in the right center. Garcia backhands it and sends it back in. On his way to second is Court as the throw comes back into the infield, and Freeman pedals over to third. Second and third, 1 out, and the Cubs are in business in the 6th.
Brooks, we had a wonderful event last night. It was at El Choro. Everybody invited down was there, and Big Frank was there with Tim Raines. And is it possible that at this age, Big Frank gets to be bigger Frank every year? I mean, he's in great shape, but he looks like he's actually getting bigger every time I saw him. I saw Tim Raines in front of him. Big Frank took 1 step to his right. I thought that Tim Raines had disappeared.
It's a bit of I've seen some commercials where he's promoting some products that maybe it looks like he could grab 40-ounce bat and hit a few out. But it's great to have 2 Hall of Famers that come with us on these trips. And like you said, this is a trip to get people excited for baseball, because when we get back, outside of the pageantry of opening day, we're bringing back Dollar Dog Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, $1 hot dogs. Thursdays, everybody's going to get a free T-shirt. Friday, we're going to have fireworks. Saturdays, we're going to have premium giveaways. And then on top of that, Sundays, we're bringing back our Coca-Cola Family Sundays. where tickets are as low as $5 in the upper deck and $15 in the outfield with $10 parking. So we want to take out any reason for someone not to come to a White Sox game. We really don't care what your fandom is. We welcome all White Sox fans. We welcome all of Chicago to come experience what we have going on at the ballpark, which is an experience that's second to none.
Now, we've read the promo earlier as we take a look at a looping to left field that drops. Got a chance to score 2. And it does. Brooks, we talked earlier about the promotion of the ticket prices for the first 2 months of the season, the last month of the season. It's a great way to see as much baseball as you want to see. Tell our fans a little bit about it. We read a promo earlier, but explain exactly what you're doing.
Well, the ballpark pass is intended for those who don't know what their schedule ultimately will be. So we recently put out a ballpark pass that will allow you to get a ticket for every game in the month of April and May. And you'll be able to pay one price, and if you come to one game or you come to all the games, we reserve a ticket for you. So it is truly a great way to get going and have what amounts to season tickets for those first couple of months to get you going for the season. This is something that is relatively new to Major League Baseball. We've been doing this a few years, but other teams are doing this as well, and it just gets people out to the ballpark, and we hope people can take advantage of it because the value is so good.
If they do come out to the park, not only will they see very talented young players, but they're going to see a place that has magnificent food everywhere you go, everywhere you look, every stand you go to, and we occasionally get it in the booth. It's as good a food as served anywhere in baseball, and we have it right there.
It
in the
really
ballpark.
is. We have 2 partners in the ballpark in Delaware North, and which a lot of people know in the sports service, and with Levy Restaurants. It is a dining experience, and it's something we take great pride in. And we want people, when they come to the ballpark, we understand that people are earning their money, and if they're going to spend money on a ticket, we want to add as much value as possible. And part of that comes from our food and beverage offerings. To be able to be able to get a craft beer that you want. There's all sorts of there's a whole line of different beers, different flavors, different tastes, and some people just like a Bud Light, and they're going to be able to get that.
Don't forget the Bertucci boys. You go visit them, and you're going to get filled up with outstanding food.
They're gone. They were here. They were manning the front row for a while, and the fryer must have gone down. Either that or Bobby was getting too much sun. One or the other.
Pick on throw to second, not in time. Brooks, you really can't overestimate the importance of good food as part of the ballpark experience, can you?
No doubt, and that's luckily we have it here. But as you know, your partner Jason likes to partake in some of the flavor tastings on the air.
Some?
Yeah, some.
The man will eat anything.
That's right. So it is. It's all part of the ballpark experience. We look at it from a driveway to driveway experience, and that is truly from the time you get in the car until the time you get home. That's your driveway to driveway experience, and some things are out of our control. We can't control what happens with traffic. We can't control what happens when grown men have a round ball and a round bat. Those things are out of our control.
But you control the weather, right?
But the weather? Yeah, that's a really good point, Steve. It's kind of
well, Roger does the best job of anybody I've ever seen at making the field playable at times when many other places might not be playable.
There's a reason he's called the Sodfather.
That's Roger Bossert, of course, long-time groundskeeping family. I remember his grandfather when I was growing up in Cleveland.
Generations of Bosserts. It's really interesting for those fans who haven't met Roger. Steve, you hit on it. He has a great framed piece in his office of the lineage of where he fits in, going to his grandfather and all the parks, and truly his fingerprints are all through baseball as he built, I believe, the Fenway Field and Wrigley Field. Those are his creations, and it's great to have like I said, the sod father on our side.
Well, what's amazing is that you always hear, with just about every park, you always hear great drainage here. I mean, we have terrific drainage. Well, that's because Roger Bossard worked on a lot of them, and that's why they have great drainage.
Strike on Tommy Listello. We're speaking with Brooks Boyer, Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the Sox. And that one is chased and missed. And the count is 0-2. And in this day and age when everybody's looking for a good value, goes that ballpark pass. He just doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely, because it ends up being a few dollars a game. We understand people aren't going to want to go or going to go to every single one of those games, but you just never know. When is that player going to reach the majors? When is someone going to throw a no-hitter? When is someone going to do something unique and special? And baseball, as everybody knows, is a lot better live. And that's why we all love it so much.
Losella out on strikes, and that'll put the lid on the 6th inning. The Cubs pick up a couple of runs. Brooks been a real pleasure. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me. Go Sox.
All right, to the bottom of the 6th, 6-1 Cubs. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Cubs on top 6-1. I'm Russ Langer along with Steve Stone. There's the new pitcher, former Dodger. And that's Brandon Morrow. Had a tremendous year for the pennant-winning Dodgers last year, moving over to the Cubs this year.
Brandon Morrow is going to be the closer. And why do you bring a closer in early? In spring training, you want him to face as many of the starting lineup as he possibly can. So, where he'll be coming in the 9th. Now he's coming in the middle of the game as Joe Madden, knowing he wants to see him get some major league hitters out, get some innings under his belt. This is a guy who, career-wise, his entire career, he has 18 saves. He was really not one of those guys that saved games consistently. He did pick up 10 of them, however, with Seattle in 2008. It's been a while. He's been used as a setup man most of the time. He's had a few injuries, but he's got a great arm. The Cubs believe that he is the missing part of the puzzle to replace Wade Davis. They think he's going to get the job done.
And Yoan Moncada takes that fastball low, ball one. Last year, Morrow, I mentioned he was a Dodger. He spent the Dodger close.
The Dodgers going to set up Kenley Jansen because he, quite frankly, you're looking. He has a lot of experience. The only thing that he'll have to if you know somebody who has it, you realize that it is and really a testament to him and his
very unfortunate disease. Ron Santo comes to mind as missed that one. Contreras
but even more importantly, one of the he throws consistently. He'll show you that arm.
Darvish. Darvish, good numbers today. Fellow
are no people that are nicer or kinder than Jaime Jarrín. He's one of the nicest men I have ever. More people who have heard Jaime Jarrín broadcast than any other broadcaster in baseball history. He's a wonderful. behind the mic. Jaime Herrin on radio, Vin Scully on radio and television, quite obviously, but they have had state-of-the-art broadcasters for a long time. The new generation, Joe Davis, those guys, they're great. And the history with the Dodgers is outstanding. There you look at Vinny. When the Lord created a broadcaster, that's who he had in mind.
Foul away 0-2, and as you know, Steve, and I had a chance, been lucky enough to work in the Dodger organization in the past, and as great of a broadcaster as Vin Scully was, 67 years worth, just mind-boggling, you know, to think that in his first year, Connie Mack was still managing, Harry Truman was president, the list goes on and on and on. Here's the 0-2 to Garcia now, and Morrow delivers, and that's hit to deep right, and it's going to go way, way back, and it is out of here. And now all of a sudden, Avi Garcia needs a triple for the cycle today, and the Cubs lead is sliced to 6-2. And you're going to say, as great as he was as a broadcaster, even better as a human being.
Avi goes opposite field. Everybody with Avi keeps talking about launch angle. Well, maybe you should, change the launch angle because that's what's happening in baseball these days. But Avi, who's been making solid contact, is so strong that after a .330 year last year, it looks like power-wise he's primed for having a big year this year. He's got plenty of power. He shows it to you there.
That's his first homer of the spring. To the bullpen it goes, and the ball he hit in the fourth inning was tattooed also for that automatic double. That pitch is ball one to Jose Abreu. There he is. 1 ball to no strikes on Jose. He's hit into a double play. He's actually hit into 2 double plays, but the second one not exactly a conventional type of double play. Morrow's pitch is chased and missed, and it's 1-1. With Garcia at second base, nobody out. Abreu hit the line drive caught by the diving Almora in shallow center. Fired to second to double off Garcia. Tremendous play by Almora, Albert Almora. 1-1. Crowds him inside, 2-1.
In a day and age when a lot of people are padding up the lead elbow, I mean, you can remember back to Barry Bonds, Greg Biggio, a number of guys. Now everybody's doing it. I talked to Jose about it, and he said, I'm just not comfortable with it. And if you're not comfortable, you can't hit. He doesn't like it. Most hitters do. He never pads up the lead elbow. And so far, he's been fine with it. But it's personal preference. Some hitters, they just love the security of being able to lean out over the plate and have the padded up lead elbow. Jose doesn't like it at all, so there you see it. No padding.
And no one's going to argue with the results. The 3-1 to Jose, and he pulls that one foul, and that's a veteran pitcher going after with a 3-1 breaking ball.
Morrow's best pitch, I mean, he's got a big fastball, always had. His best pitch is a hard slider, and that's how he's going to try to wipe out Jose, I believe. A lot of guys at this point in the count would probably think throws again, being spring training. He might be
like Morrow, and they're all over the place for all 32.
Know at this point how to get ready. They don't want to peak too soon. They know early in the spring it's not the time to really tune it up yet. Every one of these guys has an internal clock that tells them on a specific day, okay, get it ready, get game ready, and then we'll head north. But it's always later in the spring.
That's to right center. And Trey Martin, who is finishing up in right field, where Borges makes that catch. You know, friends, Sunday, don't miss a special celebrity edition of Beer Money, presented by Coors Light. Watch Kerry Wood, John Cusack, Juan Pierre, and more try to tackle Chicago sports trivia Sunday at 2:30 on NBC Sports Chicago. 2 down. Matt Davidson, who has struck out and walked, coming up. Outside ball one.
By the way, I just got a text from former Major League pitcher, great broadcaster, wonderful man, as funny as they get, Mark Grant, who said he thinks you're doing a great job. Keep it up. I concur. Nice job pinch hitting for Jason Benetti. It's great to have you here.
Oh, I appreciate it more than I can put into words. I mean, this is if you say to me, okay, how do you want to spend a March day? Do you want to work for a living, or do you want to do a baseball game with Steve Stone in front of a packed house?
You'd say you want to work?
Oh, absolutely. How did you know that? Here's the next one to Davidson, and that's on the corner for a strike, 2-1. Morrow, interesting career. Seattle, Toronto, but always a tremendous arm. And Steve, you mentioned the trying to overcome the diabetes. He's also had numerous arm issues to overcome in his lengthy career. Here's the 2-1 now. That nice breaking ball, swung on, missed, 2-2.
Well, the fact that he was a starter so often in his career allowed him to throw a lot of pitches, face a lot of hitters, work on some things. You have to be able to change speed somewhat, unless you're going to be overwhelming with 2 pitches like Koufax, the curve and the slider. If you're overwhelming with 2 pitches, you don't worry about taking something off, but mortal men have to take something off occasionally.
Short. Freeman's got that one and slings it over to first, and that's the inning. 1 run, 1 hit. Home run by Avi Garcia, who's now 3 for 3 with a single, double, and a home run. Here it is. No doubt about that one. And we go to the 7th inning. 6-2. Cubs.
There's a ticket plan for every fan, so you can get XX to, yes, you can get that too, to every opponent with a 10-game plan, or hand your games with a 10-game package. Yes, you've got it all. This is a wonderful promo for me. Secure your seats for the 2018 season today. So for more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. That's why you do those for a living, and I just watch the games.
Well, sort of. Will Contreras leads off against the new Sox pitcher. That's Dane Dunning.
He's another one who came over in the trade for Adam Eaton from the Nationals. Take a look at those numbers. He's a very young pitcher. What he does have is pinpoint control. It's going to serve him well as he moves through his career. This guy will be a major league starting pitcher. The only question is just exactly when it is. He's developing each and every day. He's going to be a good one.
1-1 to count. One of the baseball cliches is he's got a good arm. Well, not only does Dane Dunning have a good arm, he's in good hands as to how to hone those skills and get refined.
He's got Don Cooper with him. He's got Kurt Hassler with him. He's got a pitching culture in an organization that really knows how to develop pitchers. And that's the best asset a young pitcher could have. So Dunning came over. It's not that the Nationals did not have good pitching people. It's just that as Dunning matures, Kurt Hassler and Don Cooper will be his best friends, and he will lean on them for all the advice and how to be a very talented young pitcher and take it into a major league pitcher.
2 hopper to Sanchez. He fires across to Abreu, and there's 1 out.
When I was in A-ball, the manager came up to me halfway through the season. He said, "You've got everything it takes stuff-wise to be in the major leagues. All you need is experience." And I said, "Great, how do I get it quickly?" He goes, "You don't. That's why it's called experience." And that's what Dane Dunning needs.
No shortcuts. Now David Boat, who is finishing up at second base for Tommy La Stella, will get his first at bat of the day. There you see his AA numbers for the Tennessee Smokies. Decent power for a middle infielder. There's a Sanchez getting his ground ball practice right here. 2 down.
I'm really glad you're doing this, because when I look at him and they come into the game late, and you usually have like 3 number 68s, I usually say, "That's old number 76. He's a right-hand hitter." You put a name to it, terrific. Way to go, Russ.
Just call me when you need me. 2 down. And now Albert Almora Jr. steps up. Almora has been quiet at the plate. 0 for 3. Fly out, ground, and a strikeout, but he's made a tremendous diving catch in center field earlier in the game, and there's a fly ball to right field. Garcia waiting for it to come down out of the Arizona sky. He flags it. It's a nice inning for Dunning. A very economical one. A couple of ground balls to third, and a fly ball back ranch in Glen. White Sox baseball from spring training is always live with MLB at Bat. The app will keep you connected every day with live radio calls, video highlights, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB at Bat now. It's your #1 White Sox app. You see it. Good way to stay connected. See beautiful Arizona desert. And there's the new pitcher, Brian Densing, the former Twin. He delivers ball 1. Nicky Delmonico is grounded out and flied out in this game. Densing in his 6th inning of the spring. No walks, 8 strikeouts so far. The 1-0. And he rakes that one foul off the screen, protecting the first base dugout. Darrell Boston getting some fielding practice in. 1 ball to 1 strike. 6 runs, 11 hits for the Cubs. Sox 2 runs, 4 hits. Cubs got 4 in the 4th to break the scoreless tie. Added 2 more in the 6th. White Sox with single runs in the 5th and 6th thus far. Ryan Densing following Yu Darvish and Brennan Morrow to the mound. And that's outside ball 2. 2-1. Morrow threw just the 1 inning, allowed the home run to Garcia. 1 strikeout and nothing else. Wellington Castillo will be next. Then Tim Anderson. Scheduled after that, we have additional changes to tell you about on the Cubs side. And he gets under a breaking ball and lifts it to the right side. And that's the second baseman, David Boat, making a catch. Fringe of the outfield grass. 1 out, bottom of the 7th inning. At first base for the Cubs, as they have done a lot of shuffling, Yasiel Balagard is at first. The second baseman, mentioned David Boat, just caught that pop fly. The shortstop, Chesney Young. As we see Castillo digging in. Jason Vosler is the new third baseman. Trey Martin moves from right to left field. Peter Borges moves from right to center field. Actually, he goes to center now. So Almora Jr. out of the game. Mark Zagunis is in right, and a new battery. That one's punched into right field for a base hit by Castillo. The catcher, Taylor Davis. And we mentioned Brian Densing on the mound. Castillo now with that base hit. A nice piece of opposite field hitting. Has a single and a double in 3 at-bats and has scored a run.
We'll take a look at Castillo going through the right side, and our fans will remember Dunsing because he pitched a long time with the Minnesota Twins. He's worked out of the bullpen almost exclusively, but talented left-hander who gets the ball over the plate. Brian Dunsing is not overpowering, but realizes he's got to go inside to the right-handers. Otherwise, you just keep staying away. They're going to kill you to right field. So he establishes the inside to Tim Anderson after giving up the base hit away.
1 strike on Anderson, who has struck out and reached first base when the 3rd strike got away and then ended up stealing a base. There's a dribbler back to Densing. He goes down to second for 1, but there's no way they're going to double up Anderson. So they settle for the force out. 2 down.
This is one of the intricacies of pitching and why they do PFP, which is pitcher's fielding practice, because you catch a ground ball and your first step is on the mound, which means you're going from flat ground, but your first step, you're going up. Pitchers have to adjust to that. Watch the first step. He's on the mound. He tried to get as far on the mound as possible to make it a level throw, but sometimes they don't have the timing, so you have to work on it to feel comfortable. We've seen a lot of pitchers throw the ball away at second base on similar plays. Dunsing did it well.
Sanchez is flat out and grounded out. I've heard some other baseball people, Steve, also say that one of the keys to the pitcher making a good throw on a play like that is to keep his hands together, not separate his hands too soon after getting the ball. Well, first and Anderson back in.
And pitching coaches, fielding coaches will tell you the same thing. Make sure you take a step. Make sure you don't throw flat-footed. And if you throw flat-footed, you're going to have a tendency to throw more balls errant than you'd like, and that was a good play.
Yolmer Sanchez, Sun making its best attempt at an appearance right now. An overcast day, but beautiful day. Temperatures in the 70s. Pitch is high. Ball 1 to Sanchez. Wonderful atmosphere here in Glendale today. Adam Engel would be next. Driven to right, but Zagunis is right there. He flags it, and that's the inning. So Densing hangs a 0 for the Cubs in the 7th. No runs, 1 hit, and a man left. On to the 8th inning. Cubs 6. Tomorrow, it's the IHSA Boys Basketball Championships at 12:45. The top 2 3A teams face off on NBC Sports Chicago. Then at 7:15 on NBC Sports Chicago. Plus, the 4A championship is up for grabs. Live stream the games at NBCSportsChicago.com/Illinois High School. Along with Steve Stone, Russ Langer filling in today for Jason Benetti. Chesney Young gets his first at bat, and he sails one over a leaping Anderson, who almost made a Cirque du Soleil style grab, but he just missed it. Base hit.
He went up as high as he could go. You know, there's a lot of basketball in his past. You saw it right there because he just almost kept that one out of the outfield. By the way, The returns are in. They're coming in from all over the country. Hawk Harrelson texted me and said he wants to ditto what Mark Grant said. He thinks you're doing a great job also. Hawk watches each and every game, regardless of where he is or when he is, and he would just wanted you to know that he thinks you're doing really well.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And for funneling all this, Steve, you're officially my agent. The pitch is outside, ball 1. 15%? Is that good?
Well, terrific. If I ever learn how to use a smartphone, I'll probably be able to do this a little more quickly.
Ball 1, meanwhile, to Peter Borges, who is 1 out of 3. Opened the game in the right, moved to center field. Single back in the 4th, and it was caught stealing, and a great throw by Castillo, and an equally great play by Moncada to make the tag. Drive to right, that sends Garcia back, but he's got room. 1 on, 1 out. And this is Ryan Court's spot. Yeah, but Court has been pulled, and so this is Jason Vosler. Nice day for Court, though. He singled and doubled and walked and scored twice. Now Vosler with a chance. One on, 1 out. Dane Dunning, second inning away. Runner goes. The pitch is low from his knees. Castillo throws, and safe at second base is Young, but another acrobatic attempt by Anderson, who almost made a tremendous play.
Tough ball to handle. That ball was down, not Castillo's fault. Tough pitch to throw. It's low and into a left-hander. He doesn't get quite enough on it, so a good try by Wellington, but pitch location made it really difficult. From his knee, he's got a strong arm, but not that strong.
Ball 2. 2-0. Thurman Munson was your catcher as an amateur.
He was. I went to Kent State. Thurman went to Kent State. He probably would have been a Hall of Famer, but unfortunately, an untimely demise, an airplane crash, and he was piloting, trying to learn how to fly jets. He was doing touch and goes, and unfortunately, Thurman Munson was no longer around, and he was a great one. He was one of the keys to those Yankee teams, a tough guy, and one of those guys that always put the bat on the ball, always.
Shallow left. That's a tough play. Anderson and Jacob May, and the ball falls in, and now they will pull the runner at first as the throw goes into second on a blooper that falls in off the bat of Vosler. And the reason I bring him up, of course, as you mentioned, a very tough competitor, Thurman Munson. But in just watching Castillo, Munson threw a lot of guys out strictly with that quick release, didn't he?
He threw it from wherever he caught it. Sometimes it was this little looping throw to second base. The runner would always slide into it. Thurman was just an outstanding player, and loved to play the game. One year he was up in the neighborhood of 630, 40 times. He struck out 38 times. Those days are gone. And Munson, for me, was the key to that team. Reggie, you could hit a home run or you could strike him out 3 times. Thurman, with the game on the line, you wanted Thurman at bat over anybody else on that team. I mean, Lou Piniella was great. Reggie was great, Hall of Fame, obviously, but Thurman was a guy you did not want to see because he would find a way to get it done and always put the bat on the ball.
Just always seemed to hit the ball hard, outs or hits. Pickoff throw to third base, and Young is back in there. What do you make of the new attempts now going to be instituted in the minor leagues to cut down on game times?
I'm in favor of anything they do to cut down game times, because I think these days in the video age and everything that people have to divert their attention away from baseball, you want to make it a little bit quicker. It's a beautiful game, and I don't say get to 210 because unless Mark Burley's pitching or Greg Maddux is pitching, you're not going to be in the low 2s anymore very often. But you got to take it back a little bit. Bring back 10 minutes of it incrementally, a step at a time, and I think it'll be better for baseball, certainly better for the fans, and I think that anything they do to further that is a good thing.
Trey Martin waiting on Dunning. Runner from first goes, and there's an excuse me foul ball down the first baseway. Martin was in on his thumbs. You're going to see it again.
Low hand position, and Ooh, didn't expect it there. He's fortunate because if that doesn't hit the bat, it hits him, and he would just as soon it hit the bat.
Indeed. First and third, one out, top of the 8th. Dunning collects the sign of Castillo. There's a bunt at the plate. Fair ball. The throw to second, though, is off target, and everybody's safe. Bases loaded. Castillo looked up at the sky, upset with himself, and Moncada had to make a good play just to stop that ball from going to the outfield.
Only reason it happened is that he was thinking of 2 before he got 1. That is the key to infielders, pitchers, and in this case, a catcher. Think about getting 1. Make a good throw. If you get 2, it's a bonus. Make sure when you look at third base, you freeze the runner. That's good. This, not good because he tried to hurry the throw.
The bunt was not deemed good enough to be a sacrifice, so it is a fielder's choice. Young held at third. Bases are now loaded. Now they're telling us they will score the sacrifice. Okay, bases loaded. And there's a strike to Yasiel Balagert, who's finishing up at first base for Efren Navarro and batting in the leadoff spot. Dunning trying to get somebody to hit that sinker on the ground to somebody, and there's a breaking ball chased, and it's going to cost him a strike, and it's 0-2. There's the trio. Outfield straight up. Engel playing shallow. The strike 2 stretch. Another breaking ball, and that time he hammered it. And Young had to duck under that thing that whistled right by his whiskers. Oh, 0-2. Dunsing on deck to hit for himself. Well, there was somebody throwing a moment ago in the Cubs pen. Sox pen quiet for now. Ball 1.
In a situation like this, 0-2, 1-2, if you're going to throw a breaking ball, you have to have supreme confidence in your catcher, because the best breaking ball, the wipeout breaking ball, is almost always in the dirt. If you believe your catcher will block it, you can throw your best one. If you're worried about that, then you have a tendency to hang it.
Ball 2. 2-2. You got to believe he wants to make it happen now in a 2-2. He doesn't want to go 3-2. It's been Ronaldo Lopez, Xavier Cedeno, Gregory Infante threw an inning, allowed a runner, and on 2 hits struck out 2, and Dunning in his second inning of work trying to get out of the soup here. Fouled away. Cubs used Darvish for 5, Morrow for 1, Densing thus far for 1. 2-2. Castillo offering up a sign, and now a low target, and the breaking ball hit to third. They might get 2. Down to second, that's 1. On the first, that's 2. Well done. 5-4-3 around the horn it goes, and Dane Dunning 2 scoreless innings. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left to the bottom of the 8th inning. Cubs 6, Sox 2. $15 in the lower level, and parking for only $10, plus special family-focused activities located throughout the ballpark. Family Sundays are proudly presented by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, and visit whitesox.com/Sundays to purchase your tickets today. Adam Engel been in there the whole way. Struck out and grounded out, and Brian Densing going for his second inning of work right here. Ball 2, couple more changes. What is this, a spring training game? Yeah.
It's surprising to me that there would be a lot of other players in there. Fortunately, there isn't, like, 4 number 68s. I mean, they're there. It's great, and that occasionally you run into in spring training.
Foul ball. New left fielder is Charcer Burks. And Trey Martin, who had been in left field, moves to center field, where Peter Borges had been. 1-1. Ball two. 2 balls and a strike on Engel. Top of the order due after Adam has finished hitting. That'll be Yoan Moncada, Avi Garcia, and the hold would be Jose Abreu. 6-13-0 for the Cubs. Sox 2-5-0. The third and final time these teams are playing together this spring. That's up the middle, and it's a nice backhand hit by Boat, who throws to first and gets him. Engel looking up at the sky, thinking he was safe. A bang-bang play at first.
Adam Engel can really run. This was just an outstanding play. You're not going to see too many better, and I don't care when you see it, whether it's spring training or whether it's postseason. Right back up the middle, great range to his right. The dive, the underhand throw, and Adam Engel can't believe the call, but believe it. Brian Gorman says you're out, and in spring training, well, you're out.
Yoan Moncada now 0 for 3. Struck out against Brandon Morrow his last time up, and he looks at a strike. 0-1. First chance to bat right-handed today for the switch-hitting Moncada from Cuba. 0-1. Densing unravels and delivers. Breaking ball, that's low. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Rick Hahn mentioned a number of good things in his interview. Everybody wants Yoan Moncada to be a star, but remember, he's 22 years old. So there's a lot of development left, and he's developing in the major leagues every day. Right-handed, left-hand pitcher, doesn't matter, as a switch hitter. He needs some time. And although #1 prospect in all of baseball when he was traded over, and you want him to be a star right away, you know, you want him to be Mike Trout, you want him to be Bryce Harper. Everybody develops on their own, and bear in mind, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, they came from this country. Yoan Moncada did not. So part of the cultural change goes with the development as a player. It's taking him a little bit longer, it will, but there's stardom written all over him. It's just a question of time.
The words of Steve Stone. Yoan Moncada with a 2-2, and it's off the end of the bat foul, and he's hanging in there with a 2-2 count against the veteran Brian Densing. So brand new cast of characters on the Cubs side. We went over the defensive changes for you. The Sox have stayed the same except for having used 4 different pitchers and a new left fielder, Jacob May. Nicky Delmonico hurt his shoulder recently, pulled out of the game. Just working his way back in. Here's the pitch. That's bombed to left field. Oh, did he tap? Yoan Moncada, his second home run of the spring, and the Cubs lead is suddenly 6-3 here in the 8th inning.
Up Chris Sale, an all-world pitcher. You get back Yoan Moncada and Michael Kopech and a few other uniforms. The Red Sox are ecstatic. How deals are made for contending teams, and that's how deals are made for.
The ball just jumped right off his. Second solo home run, and this man has the other one. There's Moncada. Enjoying the moment. Abbey, perfect day. Single, an automatic up the 4th, and then 6. He needs a triple for the cycle. The pitch is low, 1-1.
With a left-hand pitch center field, which is somewhat surprising. They're playing him around toward right center. If he throws a breaking ball, the gap is in left center. He runs it into a triple and hits for the. Well, just in case he was leaning out over, push him back a bit.
Two and 1. That's deep down the right field corner, slicing foul. Let's take another look at this from earlier.
Avi shows you big power the opposite way, and it's a no-doubter. last year gave him a lot of confidence because he changed his stroke. He changed his approach, which is now the most important thing. And with that, penciled into 330.
Got him. Well, for the first time today, Garcia's out. He's 3 for 4. Densing's first strikeout since entering the game. He's gone an inning and 2/3. There's some fans here enjoying the atmosphere. I think that kid needs to relax a little bit.
A souvenir at the ballpark. You come to the ballpark and you get a baseball and you're sitting on the lawn and you're enjoying the game. It doesn't get much better. As Joe Maddon comes out, we've got a pitching change, and we'll tell you about it when we come back.
All right, here we go. Pitching change, and the new pitcher is Justin Hancock. There he is, tall, lean righty, putting up respectable numbers in the relatively early part of the spring.
Trying to make an impression, and it looks like by those numbers that he's doing it. I mean, one opportunity to save a game, and he was successful.
Abreu 0 for 3. And he's down 2 strikes. There's a new center fielder also. This is the 4th player the Cubs have had in center, Jacob Hanneman. Following Trey Martin, Peter Borges, and Albert Almora Jr.
Hancock can rush it up there. You want to stay away from the high heat because you're not going to catch up to it.
And he snapped off a breaking ball in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes now.
I think he goes back to the face-high fastball, tries to wipe him out. And if he indeed can close, he's got a big arm. If he can close, then it gives an insurance policy to the Cubs, who have a newly renovated bullpen. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good one.
Got him. Well, Hancock comes in and finishes the inning. The Terre Haute, Indiana native snaps off a breaking ball to freeze Jose Abreu. The inning is over. 1 run, 1 hit, the home run. Robbie Ross is the new Sox pitcher entering the 9th inning. Along with Steve Stone, Russ Langer filling in for Jason Benet today. A sellout crowd of over 13,000 chanting Camelback Ranch in Glendale. There's Robbie Ross, and he's about as good can get.
They invited him on a non-rostered contract to come to spring training, and he's coming, showing that he's still got a lot of life left in the arm. Again, a left-hander with talent. Can't have enough of him in the organization. We have Adam Engel down in the booth, and Adam.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Well, congratulations on a rejuvenated spring. Talk a little bit. We talked about your changes as a hitter. Tell our fans about your changes coming into this year and last winter.
Yeah, I took it upon myself this offseason to really try and to dive deep into some of the changes that me and the hitting coach were starting to make at the end of last year, and just worked hard at that all winter. And now that I'm in the spring, just trying to just let that work kind of play itself, and just dive into an approach at this point.
Are you feeling at this point that you're ready to go? Because I know a lot of position players at this point of the spring feel they've had enough at bats. Do you feel at this point you've had enough and you're ready to go for the season?
Yeah, I think you want to get at bats just to get timing and to like I said, just kind of lock into an approach. And now it's more of like a body thing, trying to get innings under your belt, get used to going out there back-to-back days or playing a full 9 innings or whatever the case may be. So at this point, it's kind of more of a physical thing rather than at bats.
How much experimentation did you do with hand and foot position to get to the point now where you found something that you believe going forward is going to be successful for you?
It was a lot of trial and error. I started out with some pretty drastic moves to try and get a feel for exactly what it was that me and the hitting coach have been talking about, and then I'm slowly trying to kind of water those moves down just to try and help consistency. So it was one end of the spectrum as far as how much I'm moving pre-swing or pre-pitch, and then now I'm trying to kind of dial that down a little bit. So it's been a long road, but it's been a lot of fun. So
you guys have an interesting configuration of players in the clubhouse, a lot of young guys. Tell our fans a little bit about the chemistry in the White Sox clubhouse.
Oh man, it's been awesome. It's been a ton of fun. A lot of these guys I've played with at some point, in the minor leagues. So we're all kind of making our way up there at the same time. Then we have an awesome group of veteran guys that, they're really bought into trying to help us, you know, just try and develop as big leaguers. You know what it takes to be a successful big leaguer, consistent big leaguer. So the chemistry's been great. You know, like I said, with that mix of guys, it's been a lot of fun every day coming into work.
Tell us about the mental prep to be a center fielder in the major leagues and the shifts and pitch by pitch, place by place. I mean, are you getting some help from the dugout after all of the study before the game?
Yeah, you know, Daryl Boston's our outfield guy, so he stands, you know, somewhere where we can all see him during the game, and he just kind of reiterates throughout the game kind of what we had talked about, you know, at the beginning of the series. We always have a meeting to discuss hitters and, you know, positioning and where we're going to play different guys based off of who's throwing, and then, you know, you get out there in the game and you try to just kind of, you know, obviously you want to line up in the right spot, but you try to clear your mind just so you can be athletic out there, and so he's there to kind of remind you as to, you know, where you want to go and how we're going to play each guy. So, you know, he's always there for us during the games.
Is there any way pitch to pitch that you can set up and know what pitch is coming on a soft breaking ball, maybe a little more to pull, a fastball, maybe a little less to pull? Do you know that pitch to pitch?
Sometimes you get really lucky and you can actually see. That's very rare, to be honest with you. You know, sometimes you know a guy might struggle, you know, a hitter might struggle with a certain pitch in a certain count, and you know what pitchers like to throw what pitch in certain counts. So you can kind of guess, but you don't necessarily always want to guess out there, because if you're wrong, you know, that's really not your place to be trying to guess as a center fielder or an outfielder. But every now and then you do get lucky, and you know, so the light shining just the right way. You can see the catcher's fingers from out there if you're playing shallow enough. So here and there you get to do that, but most of the time you're just going off of, you know, what the outfield coach is saying.
What's more important to you, mechanics or approach?
Ooh, I think in the season, I gotta say approach. I think when you start thinking mechanics, you know, during the game or during your at bat, you kind of lock yourself up mentally. It's hard to perform when you're thinking about, you know, what you're trying to do. But in the off season, I think it's a great time to dive into mechanics. And if you're a guy like, you know, in a situation that I was in where I'm, you know, kind of doing a swing overhaul, you know, throughout the off season is a great time to think about mechanics and try and, like, you know, nail those down. That way, when you get to the season, you can think nothing but approach up there.
Adam, this is Russ Langer. I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned before about the importance of team chemistry. Who are some of the guys on the team who help keep the team loose?
Oh, man. We got a lot of big personalities in the clubhouse. So, you know, Nicky Delmonico is the first guy that comes to mind. He's a lot of fun. He's a very high energy guy, and he's a guy that feeds off of energy. So, you know, he's going to bring a lot of energy every day, and he kind of, you know, wants us to give that back to him, because that's when he's, you know, playing his best. And then Yolmer Sanchez is another guy that's a lot of fun. He's always got some kind of...
Yolmer's great.
Yeah, he's always got some kind of prank that he's trying to pull on somebody. And then obviously James Shields is kind of the head of the clubhouse, and he's got all kinds of, they call them Wagoisms. So you know, he's just been around a long time. He's got a lot of cool stuff to share with the group.
That's great, Adam. Look, you're doing a great job. It's a wonderful spring. This team needs you in center field, going alley to catch anything, and you're swinging the bat well. Keep it going. Congratulations, and we're going to see you in the not-too-distant future.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Adam Engel.
Thanks, Adam. 6-3, Cubs lead it. Ross, you saw there, he hit Jacob Hanneman. And Hanneman trying to hit back with a stolen base attempt, but Ross threw behind him. 1-3-6 and 1 for the caught stealing. Followed by the walk to Zagunis and then the strikeout. And here's catcher Taylor Davis. He looks at a strike. 1-1. You get a look at Taylor right there. Wilson Contreras started in the game. Ended up homering in 4 at-bats. Cubs about hit the Sox 13-6. There's a big chopper coming in as Anderson on the run. He throws and he gets him. And Anderson trips off the third base side of the mound and tumbles. But he appears no worse for the wear as he heads off the field. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Cubs 6, Sox 3 on NBC Sports.
Whether you're celebrating or fundraising, bring your group out to a specially priced ticket package and a great experience. It's never too early to start planning 2018. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com.
Along with Steve Stone, Russ Langer with you, and we've arrived at the bottom of the 9th inning. The Sox have been playing catch-up since the Cubs picked up 4 in the 4th to leap out to a 4-0 lead. Sox have chipped away somewhat, but we're in the 9th, 6-3, and Justin Hancock facing Omar Narvaez, who's pinch hitting, hitting .313 this spring. Left-handed hitting catcher, has a chance to make the club. Strike on Narvaez.
He's got a great eye at the plate, and anytime you're close to as many walks as you have strikeouts, you're getting it done, and he was very close last year. So he will take a walk, and there's a lot of catchers who'll swing at everything. Omar's not one of those guys. If you don't throw it in the zone, very rarely will he go out of the zone and try to catch up to it.
Jacob May is out on deck for his first at bat, and Narvaez takes that borderline pitch, and there's that good eye you just mentioned. 2-1. Justin Hancock, 6'4", 200-pounder. That's a called strike. 2-2. Hancock was San Diego property, came over in the Matt Caesar trade. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Narvaez. So word just came down. I want to share it with you. Very significant news regarding one of last year's postseason and especially World Series heroes as Narvaez strikes out. Jose Altuve, a huge deal extension with the Houston Astros.
5 years, $151 million. He's the key. He's the heart of that ball club. It's a talented young team led by Altuve. They tied him up long term, and you look at Correa, you look at Springer, you look at all those young guys all the way around, and you say to yourself, the leader's Altuve. Let's tie him up. Houston did a good thing, and they're a very talented ball club. They're going to be really tough to catch in the West. They're going to be really tough to beat in the American League. That team they're just loaded top to bottom. The pitching staff is terrific. I mean, Jeff Luhnow has done a very nice job down there, and tying up Altuve might have been the best thing he did.
1-1 on Jacob May, his first at bat. Was he playing the 9th inning? Jacob in left field where Nicky Delmonico started. And the other thing about Altuve, regardless of what team you root for, check out the documentary that was done on Altuve and try to look somebody in line and tell them you don't like Jose Altuve after watching that. I mean, this is someone who, as the pitch is fouled away 1-2, his entire life was told you're too small, forget it. And now look at him.
The beauty of our game, and it's a beautiful game, make no mistake. 2 MVPs in recent vintage. Dustin Pedroia, Jose Altuve, almost standing on top of one another. They would make up one of the bigger guys in the NBA, and yet both of them were MVPs in this game, stars in this game. And the fact that you can do it at any height, any weight, any size in this game makes this game beautiful. Top to bottom, inside, outside. Altuve has it all. Pedroia had it all. So all of you people looking for a sport for your children to play, this is the sport, because you don't have to be a giant to play it. You get to the major leagues, you work your way here, and that's the beauty of the game.
And you mentioned earlier, as May fights that 2-2 pitch off. You mentioned Jimmy Wynn earlier. They call him mentioned to him as the toy cannon, he was referred to. And then from that same era, Joe Morgan, another little guy, just proving in that it's bat speed and not physical strength so much that creates that power.
And a lot of guys, just like Altuve, they tell you you're too small to do this or too tall to do that. My feeling was, if there's a contest and it's 2 people, tell me why the winner shouldn't be me. And that's what Altuve and Pedroia had, and just about everybody who plays this game professionally.
To short, Chesney Young throws out May, 2 down. Cubs down to the last out. And Seby Zavala, who is putting the finishing touches on the catching chores today for the Sox. Wellington Castillo was in there. Wellington had a good day. Single and a double, and 3 at-bats and a run score. But now Zavala, last man standing. If he reaches Tim Anderson, we'll get up there.
Zavala can swing the bat. Make no mistake about that. And one of the reasons why he's here still in the major league camp is the fact that he has good bat speed. He's got a good conception of the strike zone. He's got a chance to be pretty good. Catchers who can hit usually find a way to get to the major leagues.
Did you have a catcher, Steve, when you pitched, who was completely in tune with you? You hear about Greg Maddux, Charlie O'Brien. You hear about Tim McCarver and Bob Gibson, etc.
Well, I thought Rick Dempsey was terrific, but usually I wasn't good enough to have my own personal catcher. So pretty much whoever they had back there with a glove I threw to. and that was kind of the way it went. But I know there were personal catchers for certain pitchers, but you had to be really good to do that. So, you know, it didn't matter who was back there. Eventually got to throw it, but I wanted just one thing, make the glove pop. Try to convince me I had a fastball. Thank you very much, and I'll go home, as will the Sox and the Cubs.
Speaking of, breaking ball puts away Seby Zavala. The Sox go in order in the 9th inning, and the Cubs win this one by a score of 6-3 with 6 runs, 13 hits, and no errors, leaving 7. For the Sox, 3 runs, 6 hits, and no errors, leaving 3 men on base. And boy, what a fun day here at Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Steve.
Russ, you did just a great job. Thank you for sitting in. I thought you were brilliant. It's a tough thing. You made it look seamless, but coming into a ball club that you don't do very much, but you have done them before, is really difficult. You did great. Come back anytime. I know our fans appreciate it. I appreciate it, as did everybody in the booth and everybody in the truck who made it happen. The folks here were terrific. You were.
Steve Stone, I'm Russ Langer, and from Camelback Ranch, I want to remind you, for my partner Steve Stone, our director Jim Angio, our tech manager Mark Harper, and for the executive, everybody, you've been